Amor Moors, just setting up. Need a little bit of minutes. Give me some time. Be the lone wolf all the time. Lone wolf. All the time. Waiting for the system to open up some stuff. As soon as I'm on Jackie internet. I tell you, the type of internet you're on does matter. Completely and utterly matters. Because this system is so slow. It is so slow, you guys. I'm just going to share that. Please share the video. I'm off on the side, getting things together, setting up. I didn't want to be too late to the party. So I'm sitting here waiting for this slow machine on this slow internet server to do what it is that I need to do. Alright. Now, I'm going to use this laptop to show a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about today. I'm not in a room that I'm accustomed to being in. So I don't have my big luxurious, oh my goodness, this is so slow. Whiteboard. So you know I'm missing my whiteboard. This thing is so freaking slow. I want to do slow. I'm gonna have to do slow. I'm gonna have to use my cell phone because I don't feel like waiting for this slow. What did she say? Bike race? I don't know. I do not know. Amor Moors, Islam. I'm going to use my laptop. I mean my cell phone for some of this stuff because I don't feel like playing with this slow machine. I just don't feel like it. So I'm going to use my phone. The history of the police. Okay. And we're going to start with a lot of these things that I was posting on social media earlier this week. Actually this midweek. I think it was probably either Wednesday or Thursday. Not sure if you guys can hear me, but I'm going to attempt to hear and to see you. Islam. So I'm going to attempt, I hope you are hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth, okay? Amor Moors, happy Sunday. This is a beautiful day today, and it's beautiful sunny today. I was able to get some running done today, so I'm a little happy. I am happy today. I saw my little sea stars. My little beautiful sea stars. So I don't know how much you'll be able to see me, but I'm going to make an attempt to see what's going on through the laptop. Okay, so that's not really good. You can see it up and close. Let's see if I can see it here. Let's see. I just want to make sure where I position myself, you can see me. I want to make sure where I position myself, you can see me. And my head, importantly, is not cut off. So I might have to move either this back a little or this a little. So I'm going to move this out the way. I'm going to move this out the way. And move moving that out the way. And I'm going to move this further back so you can see me and my head is not cut off. So I'm waiting to see how things are going to be. So please bear with me. There's going to be a couple minutes delay. Contact me early. Okay. I don't know. Islam emperors. Islam. All right. So it looks like you still got a good visual on the board. Okay. I think we're good. Look at my shirt. I gotta push my shirt out. Cool. Wait a minute. Is that too dark for y'all? Is that too far back for y'all? Can y'all see good? I'll put it up a little bit. All right. Now this class today is on the history of the police department. Y'all know I'm a little discombobulated because I don't have my big old whiteboard. I do love my big old whiteboards, and I prefer to have the pieces of paper because then you can refer back. So I'm gonna order some of those so when I don't have a board, I can flip back and forth to the different pages and I don't have to clear off some things. So I just want to make sure I have a good Islam content. Okay. Islam. So today's class is the history of the police department and why it absolutely positively does not apply to anyone identifying in their free national name. And free national name is what we have to be identifying ourselves with. There's a lot of things that I want to go into while we're here today. So I'm taking it in steps. There was some things that I wanted to show you because it is this so-called police department, the so-called police, is the enforcement, the ground soldiers for the gangs of New York, the gang members. And Taj Tariq Bey, Consular General Taj Tariq Bey, on House of Reawakening Minds this past Friday, Holy Day, spoke about this in length in regards to how the so-called police departments got their beginnings, when their beginnings absolutely started. So I'm actually looking at the Time Magazine post that I posted about 3 to 4 days ago when I was doing research as to, wait a minute, where did this department come from? Where did these Moors, where did these, where did these departments come from? Who sanctioned them? Who authorized them? Islam, y'all the first ones here. Ain't that beautiful?
That's great.
Did you get your stuff from
I was waiting for Ted to I'm not sure. Well,
Fatima?
not yet.
What's your appellation?
Musali.
Musali?
No.
Okay. You're down, you corporate territory, New Jersey.
Correct.
I gave her your stuff. She better bring it down here with her.
I believe she is.
Okay. Because she's on her way, but she's running a little late. Everybody's running a little late. You know, they come when they come, right? So today's class is talking about the history of the police department. If you don't have enough room, definitely move the chairs back. I wasn't taking into consideration that, you know, we talk. So the first document that I was going over was an article that I've been posting on my social media, and that article, it was processed by Time Magazine, and it had a photo which was specifically talking about, a lot of information that I saw was talking about Boston, the corporate district of Boston being one of the first police departments that was established in 1903. But there was a lot of other what's the word I want to say, contradicting information as to the establishment of police departments. Now, I like to always go into the etymology of things before I go into the actual study of it. So I have Black's Law, and I also have the I bought mine today, y'all, because I needed to make sure we have it. So I have the American Heritage Dictionary, which you might not know about. the American Heritage Dictionary, then I have the Black's Law. So I'm going to look up both of these definitions to see what the definition of police department is, because my peoples ain't here yet and they all on their way, running late. So I am going to look it up myself. Police. So give me a second. If anybody else online is looking, let's see. Let's see what the Law Dictionary, 4th edition, Black's Law tells you about police departments. And then we're going to look in the American Heritage Dictionary also to see what it talks about, because we don't just go on beliefs and what people tell us. We go on actual factual knowledge that cannot be refuted, even though people think they can refute knowledge. All right. So where's P? Okay, P is after police. So I'm going to look it up in both of these documents, both of these books, to give you an accurate or as close to accurate of a definition for them as I can. All right, so both of these dictionaries have the definition of police. So let's see if anybody posted it. Nope, nobody posted it yet. So the definition based on the 4th edition Black's Law Dictionary is saying, police, the function of that branch of the administrative machinery of government which is charged with the preservation of public order and tranquility, the promotion of the public health, safety, and morals, and the prevention, detention, and punishment of crimes. State versus Hen. The police of the state. The police of a state, in a comprehensive sense, embraces its whole system of internal regulation by which the state seeks not only to preserve the public order and to prevent offenses against the state, but also to establish for the intercourse of citizen with citizen those rules of good manners and good neighborhoods which are calculated to prevent a conflict of rights and to ensure to each the uninterrupted enjoyment of his own, so far as is reasonably consistent with the like enjoyment of rights by others. It is defined by Jeremy Bentham in his words. Police in general is a system of precaution, either for the prevention of crime or of calamities. Its business may be distributed into 8 distinct branches. Police for the prevention of offenses, police for the prevention of calamities, police for the prevention of epidemic diseases, police of charity, the police of internal communities, police of public amusement, police for recent intelligence, police for regulations. The term police has always been divided into administrative power, or police, which has as its object to maintain consistently public order in every part of the general administration, and judiciary police, which is intended primarily to prevent crimes by punishing the criminals. Now that was an oxymoron. How are you going to prevent crimes by punishing criminals? I mean, in one sentence, you're going to punish criminals, therefore preventing future crimes, but you can't prevent criminals by punishing, if that makes any sense, because that didn't really make sense when I was reading it. Its object is to punish crimes with the administrative police has not been able to prevent. Okay? So, what was the biggest thing that you heard from that made you say, wait a minute? Because we always get confused as to what this is. If there are certain words and certain terminologies that don't fit or that you're confused with, you have to justify it. So in that one, it said administrative functions of the state, police, are administrative functions of the state and the government, right? So it's administrative functions of the state and the government. And in previous classes, we talked about what a state, as well as what government is. Do we really have to re-go over what a state and what a government is? I think we should. for transparency purposes. And the American Heritage Dictionary for police states the following. The governmental department charged with the regulation and control of affairs of a community, now chiefly the department established to maintain order, enforce the law, and prevent and detect crimes. Now it's said to do what? Enforce the law, right? And prevent and protect. Prevent, protect. This little board is going to drive me crazy, just so y'all know. And I bet you ain't nobody in that other room. They're to maintain order, enforce crimes, enforce laws, what you laughing at? And prevent, I don't know how you can prevent and detect crimes. So then we got to go and read crimes also, because they sneakily get you by putting certain words and terminologies in here. So the police, based on the American Heritage Dictionary, that was just one definition I read. A body of persons making up such a department trained in methods of law enforcement. And we gotta always keep talking about this law piece. So if we're gonna have people who are called police, they have to be enforcing what? The law. And the question is, do you know what the law is? What is the law? What constitutes the law here at Morocco? What constitutes law here at Morocco is the supreme laws of the land, which are the Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation, Constitution for the United States of America, and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Those 4 documents, as well as any directives, written affidavits, scribed by the Moorish American nationals, unrebutted, stand as law of the state. And when we talk about state and government, and then we talk about laws, prevent and detect crimes, well, we're supposed to have these individuals are supposed to be doing what? Enforcing laws. Does it say anything about regulations, ordinances, policies, and procedures of a corporate state? No, it doesn't say nothing like that. It says government and state. And what constitutes a state? What constitutes a government? A body of persons having similar organization and function. Regulations and control of affairs of a community, especially with respect to maintenance and order of law. I mean, I could beat that to death all day, but it already told you who's supposed to be a police officer or who is acting in an unlawful capacity because they don't have jurisdiction or authority, and no state or government sanction their activity. And why did no state or government sanction their activity? Because we're talking laws. But whenever they try to pull you over, for whatever purpose they're pulling you over for unlawfully, because they don't have jurisdiction to even pull you over, right? Even if they suspected you as a so-called criminal or under investigation, which would be the only way they can even stop you to even inquire as to keep the so-called protect and maintain the safety of the public, right? So if they pull you over, the first thing you always have to establish is status, who you are, for the record, on the record. And the next thing you should be saying is, I am Sharon, Tracey, Gale, Moorish American National, in proprio persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredis, at all times and at all points in time. I am a descendant of the great pharaohs of Kemet and the Moabites and the Canaanites. I am the law and I am the government. And I command you state your name and nationality for the record, on the record, without further comment. And because this is a so-called stop, and you only stopped in order to find out, one, why that individual was following you. Two, why did he have his emergency, he or she have her emergency lights on? Why were those lights on? Because this is not an emergency. Nobody's in harm's way. And that will give you the only appearance of having the ability to do that in your corporate directives. Because those policies, codes, and ordinances, you as an employee of that corporation have to adhere to, but nobody outside of that, especially not a person who is the law and who is the government, which is the Moorish American nationals, right? I was like, so when they try to pull you over, you say, wait a minute, let's back up. I'm a Moorish American national. I'm at Morocco, which is where you're standing, traveling. You need to tell me who you are first for the record and why you stopped me on my travels. That's the first thing you have to say to me. So let's start there. Why'd you pull me over? And don't get cocky or egotistical, but just realize you the state, and you're the law, and you're the government in your sovereign capacity, which is what a state has to have in order to even be that. So it has to actually be a state. And you have to actually be a sovereign to establish a state. Only a sovereign can establish a state and is the actual government here at Morocco. Everybody else is hypothecating unlawfully that position through all of the social propaganda and brainwashing that was instituted in us in those institutions our parents put us in. And we need to clear up those confusions, those misconceptions, and stating for the record who you are. And not having an issue. I got pulled over a couple of nights ago by a corporation called the Sharon Police Department. I got pulled over. I didn't pull over immediately because it was the middle of the night. I'm wondering what the hell they're pulling me over for. And I waited till I got to a place where I felt comfortable pulling over. And my windows was about this low. Really light? Was about this low. And the first thing I said was, first of all, why are you pulling me over and get that light out of my eye? Why did you pull me over? And then his comment was, why didn't you stop? Because you don't have the authority to pull me over. Well, I pulled you over because your registration was expired. First of all, who gave you the authority and the ability to run any place that's against the law and that's unlawful? Where's your supervisor? Where is the sheriff? Because apparently you don't know law. Right here. How you gonna sit here and call yourself this and you don't know this? How you doing that? In the middle of class, baby girl. Pass it to him. So how you calling yourself a so-called law enforcer? Because that's what a so-called police, based on the 4th edition Black's Law in the American Heritage Dictionary, says a so-called police is. A policeman is, and a police department works for. So you're supposed to be enforcing law. Not codes, not ordinances, not statutes. And if you are enforcing those other things, you absolutely can't call yourself this. Why you think all of these policy enforcer vehicles are changing their names to code enforcement? Have anybody seen that? Seen the new vehicles coming out, calling them code enforcer as opposed to a police vehicle? Because that's a violation. They are not that. And they know they have to fix it because everybody's vibrations is coming up. Everybody's competencies is coming up. Everybody's knowledge of law is coming up. So they can no longer fraud you by calling themselves a police officer. Because by the very definition of police, you are to enforce law. And law can't be just misconstrued to mean codes. And I'm going to read the definition of that as well. If you can go in here and read law. As soon as I get my couple more individuals getting their little butts here, I'm going to have to look for them myself. Law. Law. And who can make law? Everybody can't make law. They can't even try to make law. Anybody cannot make law. Who can make law? Congress. The sovereigns. The sovereigns make law. Because the sovereigns, before they even start making laws, they start organizing into a state. So that's which kind of like the Moorish National Republic federal government, as well as the Moorish American Consulate, we represent the state of who? The sovereigns, which are the Moorish American nationals. So we represent the state and the government, which are the people in their sovereign capacity, because people outside of law are lawless. They don't know law. And they're held to codes and policies because they're holding themselves to that. Nobody else is holding them to these things. They just benefiting off of your ignorance, which ain't right. So it's imperative that everybody knows law so they don't fall for traps set by bandits acting like police officers, which are supposed to be enforcing law, right? So what it says the law is that which is laid down, ordained or established, a rule of method according to which phenomena or acts coexist or follow each other, that which must be obeyed and followed by citizens and subjects to sanctions or legal consequences. What does that mean? That means, yes, all citizens, all subjects, which are everybody else who's not sovereign here, anybody outside of their sovereign capacity that doesn't have nationality as sovereign here, you are a citizen or subject. And based on the Expatriation Act, as we did not have laws of naturalization, if you abandoned your sovereignty or your, let's say, nationality for a benefit, a corporate benefit under a nom de guerre, you dissolved your nationality and you automatically became a subject. Automatic, the law says that. So if you're a subject, you have to obey the law. And there's ramifications if you don't obey the law. Does that say exactly the same thing, pretty much? The law?
Well, they have a little more here. Let me read it. Let me read it.
If you can inflect your voice loud enough so people can hear you.
A rule of conduct or procedure established by custom, agreement, or authority. The body of rules and principles governing the affairs of the community and enforced by political authority, the legal system, international law, the condition of social order and justice created by adherence to such a system, the breakdown of law and civilized behavior, a set of rules or principles dealing with a specific area of a legal system.
Islam.
So it goes on and on. But,
Islam. You say whatever you want. So, the question is, why do we start establishing police? And where were they policing? Is the better question you have to say. And timelines are important. So whenever you're reading things, timelines will establish who they are talking about. If they're talking about Moors, or if they're talking about subjects, or if they're talking about British colonists, which is Albion's falsely identifying or trying to identify as Americans, which they can never be, or white, which they also can never be. Those two classifications don't belong to individuals who don't have a standing and status in their own government. But keep this in mind. Why did they start calling themselves white? When did they start calling themselves white? Do some research on that, because that'll let you know what they dissolved in their own right. They dissolved their own standing and status in a lawful de jure government for a privilege in a corporate infrastructure. And that's what they're mad about now, because they're outside limbo, hanging and flapping in the wind, hoping we don't realize that they have no standing and status here at Morocco. Absolutely none. And the only reasons they've been getting out and robbing you is because they had their policy enforcers, which had been unlawfully claiming to be peace officers. So we're going to call them highwaymen. What else we going to call them?
Policy enforcers.
Policy enforcers. We want to call them bandits. We want to call them outlaws. We want to call them terrorists. These are what they are. They are not that. Because to be this is to enforce laws. To be a policy or a police officer, you have to be enforcing law. And we know darn well they're not doing that because they would never pull you over. You would never get pulled over if they were enforcing law. So is it a benefit for a highwayman, policy enforcer, bandit, outlaw, and terrorist to even identify as this when you're not enforcing this? So that's a breach, right? It's a breach. And the reality is, just for them to have that title on their buildings or on their cars or on their persons is to war against the state and the government. Because if you're going to be doing this, you got to be enforcing the law. And corporations don't have law. They have codes, statutes, and ordinances. You can't enforce those. You only can enforce those on other people who are employed there. So policy enforcers are supposed to be enforcing that on their own people. There's a Time article that I posted. What? Okay, I'm going to read the document. It would be easy to think that police officers is a figure who has existed since the beginning of civilization. Now, when we talk about civilization, who are we talking about? What group of people are we talking about when we talk about civilization? Because there's a difference.
I imagine us as
Civilization?
I mean, civil, I would figure we were civil.
And you're basing that on educational system, right? On what historically or let's say familiarly had been taught to you with the so-called civil rights movement, right? So we get that civil from civil rights and different things like that, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You never needed civil rights. Guess why? You're a nobility. You were sovereign. You're sovereigns and you're noble. You are so much higher in rank and status as well as genes and DNA. You never needed civil rights. Civil rights was to do what? Think about what civil means. Does anybody know what civil means?
Civilized.
We got to think about 7-Eleven when we went down into Rome, or let's say, Rome, Europe, and we civilized some individuals, some humanoids that didn't know how to live. And when we say they don't know how to live, they live so beastly, for the lack of a better way to say it, they were dying by the millions because they didn't know how to wash their hands, because they threw their feces in the middle of the street, because they all cross-contaminated germs and stuff because of the way they live. And there's a book called Dirt that'll tell you everything that you need to know about why we had to civilize them and create laws to help that coming out of bestiality. And there's so much history that'll tell you about that. And I don't like to wow our people, because our people have been conjoining in relationships, creating let's say families or communing with these individuals. So it's going to be difficult for them to realize what they've really been setting themselves up with when they come to that realization. But the reality is you got to come to it whether or not you want to or not. Because the next phase in life, you're going to have to come out of those relationships because they are not where you're supposed to be. And I'm not going to tell you why. You're going to research that on your own, because people need to come to things on their own timing. Because if this information gets thrust upon you, you might go crazy. You might, because it's a lot. So civilization is not referring to Moors. It's referring to those individuals who are humanoids and who are different from us, but we think we are one classification of people, which we are not. You got civil?
Yep.
You want to read it or you want me to read it?
Either one.
Huh? But if you ain't going to inflect your voice, you got to.
Civil, they say originally pertaining or appropriate to a member of a civitas or free political community, natural or proper to a citizen, also relating to the community or to the policy and government of the citizens and subjects of that state.
So we gave civil rights to citizens and subjects, which ties into what police departments were really originally for, to help these citizens and subjects be civilized. But when we talk about where they're saying anyway, they started in the colonies, in certain colonies between 1700s, 1800s. It depends on what colonies came, because if we remember these so-called plantations, i.e., what's the other word? Colonies. These are British companies. The etymology of colony is a British company. So British companies came over here to do business with the Moroccans, which were you and me, and those individuals that they brought over as subjects at this time. They weren't citizens, they were subjects at this time, or if we want to make it better, Slavs came over to work those plantations. So the original so-called slaves, and the only slaves etymologically, are the Albions. They came over here to work the colonies, those British companies, to help finance our brothers and sisters who act like they not from over there, which were the British Moors.
A lot of them that came over here was criminals.
Oh, of course. It was like the waste. It was like putting all of their undesirables in their communities were working in those plantations, and the original plantations were all populated by Albion sons that were put into those. Some of them were kidnapped. There was a lot of children, little small children, that were kidnapped, Islam, as well as forced onto these plantations, these colonies, through indentured agreements, as indentured servants. So they wanted an elevation. They wanted something. They wanted a word or a terminology that depicted them, but that let you know that they were Slavs. Because a slave is a Slav, and a Slav is an Albion, etymologically. So when we talk about they were indentured servants, they signed agreements. So when they were over there in Great Britain, they would get put into these POW camps, I would say. They was born against their own people, for real, POWs. And they said, all right, if you want to, you can serve your time over in the so-called American colonies in the new so-called world. And the only reason why they called it the New World, because of the new agreements that was between the two nations, which was the British Moors and the Moors of Morocco here at Northwest Amexem. So the agreement was, all right, you work on the plantations for 5 years, you're good. But it never, those agreements, because we know we talking about who? What are we talking about? Subjects. Subjects who are slaves, who ain't got no status and standing in law because they're subjects. You can treat subjects any old way you want to, because they're not sovereigns and they on your land, right? Think about Moses in Egypt. All those people, through the conquering of wars, ended up in Egypt working as slaves down there. But at the same time, subjects usually come through wars, or they only come through wars, for real, right? So policies, let's go. Real man. So the word, it would be easy to think that the police officer is a figure who has existed since the beginning of civilization. That's the idea on display in the proclamation from President John F. Kennedy on the dedication on the week of May 5th as National Police Week, in which he noted that law enforcement officers have been protecting Americans since nation's birth. Wow, that was such a lie. Because who's an American?
We are.
Who's an American? Does anybody know the definition of American? You got to know what the definition of American, because there's people who claim to be Americans as well as claiming to be white people, and they are neither one of those things. They're actually aliens.
People of copper color complexion?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be the people of many copper color complexion?
Right, which would mean what?
Us.
Yeah. So Americans are Asiatics. So the Asiatics of America, the original inhabitants of the Americas are the copper-colored individuals found when so-called Christopher Columbus came here. They're supposed to be told what? By their very admission. National Police Week. So to be national is to denote you have status and standing. But have they been protecting any nationals? Any American nationals? Have they been doing that? I've been thinking they've been doing the absolute opposite of that. Because as soon as you say you're a Moorish American national, they're supposed to be protecting and enforcing your laws, not codes. That's why they're changing their vehicles to code enforcers. But the reality is they shouldn't be on our lands at all. At all. And they started with this. Police, right? So they're supposed to be protecting Americans, the nationals. That's you, Moors. So every policy enforcer out there that's claiming to be a police officer, it is your duty, it is your oath to protect the American nationals of the land, which are only Moorish American nationals. Nobody else is that. So when you see lawns that say we support the police, how does that make you feel? You support the police? Well, the police ain't been doing nothing to support the nationals and the Americans, the true Americans of the land. They've been doing the very opposite of that. The fact the U.S. police force is a relatively modern invention sparked by changing notions of public order, driven in turn by economics and politics, according to Gary Potter, a crime historian at Eastern Kentucky University. Policing in colonial America it's very informal, based on a for-profit, privately funded system that employed people part-time. Towns also commonly referred to as night watchmen, in which volunteers signed up for a certain day and time, mostly to look out for fellow colonists engaging in prostitution and gambling. What did I say the definition of colonist was? Do we know what that is? I'm looking at a colony. What's a colony? It's a British company. So so what I'm saying is ultimately that, where's it at? Mostly to look out for British subjects engaging in prostitution and gambling. That's what they're saying to you. Boston started one in 1631. New York corporate district started in 1700s, but the system wasn't very efficient because the watchmen often fell asleep, drank while on duty, and they were people who were put to watch as a form of punishment. So it's like, oh look, you gotta do watch tonight because you was found sleeping on a bench or something like that. So it wasn't a real organized structure. The only purpose of them was to make sure there was no prostitution going on and no gambling going on in the colonies. And we got to keep this in mind. In 1636, 1658, and 1700s, slavery was exclusive with the Albions. History reversal. Moors did not become enslaved through their participation in denationalizing themselves for a benefit in this United States of America till what? 1774. We're talking 1774. So the original police departments were established to make sure the Albions in these British colonies that were actual fugitives and outlaws of Europe. So they had to have police people patrolling because they brought these people from jail cells from Europe for whatever things that they were doing over there, rape, murder, incest, bestiality, whatever the heck it was. And they put them in those British colonies here at Morocco to work. So they needed to have an enforcement to make sure that they weren't doing other ridiculous things. You have a question?
No, you wanted to look up American.
What was the
So they
definition?
got something.
Is it good?
Yeah, not too bad, I think. First, America, the United States. Also the Americas, the land masses and islands of North America, Central America, and South America. American of or relating to the United States of America or its people, language, or culture, of or relating to North or South America, the West Indies, or the Western Hemisphere, of or relating to any of the Native American peoples,
There you go.
indigenous to North or South America,
That's long.
used of plants and animals, a native or inhabitant of America, a citizen of the United States.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
That's where they twisted off.
You gotta watch.
So, if I'm trying to get this down, this as well. An American, when you use the terminology American, as opposed to more, I would imagine is more indigenous, the true indigenous people to this area, to the so-called United States. But if you utilize American, now you're saying although I come from overseas over there, but the fact that I'm here, I'm American.
American, based on the definition, is South Central and the adjoining islands. That's all American. It's not just it's definitely not the so-called 50 corporate states, but we got to keep in mind America is a new terminology that was established with the establishment of the Constitution, which was for the United States of America, right? And we assisted the Albions in getting a standing and status through the Declaration of Independence, which is why that's a part of the supreme laws of the land, because the Declaration of Independence was them claiming independence from the so-called British colonies and companies to the de jure Moorish American nationals. So the American is a modern term, which was an agreement between the Moors and the modern Europeans through those so-called founding fathers to give them a standing and status in government for commercial purposes only. So an Albion can't call themselves an American. Now, when they say that I'm an American citizen, that's saying something different.
Right.
So I'm a citizen, a subject of America. So to say that you're that is to say that you uphold the supreme laws of the land, which is what gave you a standing and status. So that's an agreement. That is a contract. That is a pledge. They pledged themselves to us. They pledged themselves to us to be free of Great Britain. And that's why we hold them to the supreme laws of the land, because they can't get out of it. They can't wiggle themselves out of it no matter how much they try, because it's a commercial agreement and a contract. I saw an article that talked about Facebook banned, and it keeps purging, let's say, the Declaration of Independence from its platform because of one derogatory statement that they said was a derogatory statement talking about savages, or referred to savages, right? I was like, well, wait a minute. Now, they could be trying to tell you two or one thing. One, read the damn Declaration of Independence. I'm putting a lot of this, I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this, so you go read the damn document. And that's probably exactly why Facebook even put that post out there, or let's say the people who put the post out and it keeps getting pushed down, put it out there because they want the people to read the Declaration of Independence, especially since the so-called 4th of July, which marks its anniversary for their freedom from Great Britain. But it included more than just the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence is completely conjoined with the Articles of Confederation. Read these documents, as well as the Constitution and the treaty. You can't have independence while you're violating the law that established it. It was a series called the Supreme Laws of the Land. So when we talk about read the Declaration of Independence, because how the heck are they wanting independence for all of it? Because if you read the Declaration of Independence, everything that Moors are dealing with today, they was fighting Great Britain for. Read it. All your violations is in that document. But they pledged everything for that independence. And it's an agreement. And we can take it. And we have been taking it. They pledged their lives, their liberties, their fortunes. In their nobility, they pledged everything to us. So they have to do what we tell them to do in our sovereign capacity. And they know this. They're not foggy on these realities. We are coming out of the fog and the deluge. And they still think they have time and wiggle room to get what they're doing. There was another article that talked about policy enforcers or police officers committing suicide. See that article? That ain't by accident. When the sovereigns stand up and we give directives, we ain't playing with those directives, those liens, those affidavits, those writs. That's called due process of the law. We're telling you violating the law. Next comes what? You either gonna go crazy or somebody gonna murk you. And you're gonna murk yourself. That's all what's going on. We're not being belligerent, we're not being ignorant, we're not being mean to Albions. We're telling you, all right, yeah, we bumped our head and fell down for a minute, forgot who we was. We done regained that clarity. You gotta do what we say now. And that's why they mad, because they gotta do what we say now. But they've been living a life of luxury for 100 years on the backs and the oppression and the murder and the death and the subjugation of you and me and our ancestors. And there was another article that talked about we're not responsible for what our ancestors did. Really? So you don't want the bad, but you want the good? Because your ancestors gave you a voice and a standing in government too. And your ancestors assisted you in becoming free from Great Britain too. So if you don't want that, then take that off the table too and go home. Really? Because ain't nothing new under the sun. And the people who were here in the 1700s, the 1600s, the 1500s, still here today. So you are your ancestors. Thank you. Ain't nothing new.
The original definition. Webster's 20.
Definition of an American. Which is why I put the post up earlier this week to say, look, if any Albion or alien of any corporate nation state claims to be an American or claims to be a white person, you lean them. You be like, what's your name? Don't, just play games with them. Like, oh, what's your name? Oh, how you spell that? How you spell the first and the last name? Oh, okay. Oh, that's so cool. You know you're not American, and this is no subject to lean you just for calling yourself an American, because that's a terroristic attack against the actual Americans. You warn against me because you know damn well you ain't no American. You a subject of the American, which is an American Indian or North America and South America. And what you need to know about Indians, natives, but keep this in mind, India ain't here, somewhere else. A native or inhabitant of North America or South America, inhabitant, and native, Islam, born and inhabit a place. Born and inhabit a place. Native means born and inhabit a place. Now some people can say, oh, I was born there and I'm inhabiting and I'm an American. No. It's more to that. Hey, but where'd it go? Now number 3 says this. Now here comes where the hypothecation starts, which is why I don't look at Google definitions, because they try to seep in their lies. A native or inhabitant of the U.S. or U.S. citizen. No, it's not. Absolutely, it's not. So this website, whoever's managing this website, should be leaned for that violation. Since you gave me this, you might want to do that later. So you see how they lie, and they didn't say the copper-colored Native Americans found there when Christopher Columbus came, because prior to him being here, there were no Albions over here. Not here. Now we had some reservations. We did have reservations for people we allowed safe harbor, but they weren't allowed to be in our communities. They were in their own little reservations on our land, but they did not live or domicile in our states or part of our government. I'll go on. Where was I? Night watch officers were supervised by constables. You remember those constables who put tags on your doors and say, this is from the PA constable? They're telling you all the time. But that was extremely high sort jobs, right? They didn't want this job. This job was just something that they put people through because they didn't want to do it. Because why would you want to sit here and be walking around watching Albions all day? Who would do that? I'm just saying. You got to look at the history. You got to really read some stuff to know why people didn't want that job. Why people didn't want to sit here and watch the colonies. Because this is where they were at, colonies. Because where we were at, we were sovereigns. We didn't need to be policing ourselves. We were sovereigns. So these individuals were to enforce the laws on the subjects of those British companies. So as the cities and the towns grew, and Moors were so unconscious at this time, they was just ranking out. And I'm going to show you just how deep this rabbit hole goes and how everybody's disbanding now. Because before, the way that we kind of get you when they would pull you over is that little damn sticker on the back of your conveyance. You had a little sticker on the back of your conveyance that told them when your so-called registration expired on the conveyance. Well, we know damn well you were never really supposed to have those registrations, proof of insurance, because those were for subjects. But how did they get away with calling you a subject and treating you like a subject? How did they get away with that?
Contracts.
Not specifically contracts, because we did a class all on contracts, and we know what the hell a contract means, and we know the true definition of a contract. How did they get you to believe you was a subject and subject to those codes, statutes, and ordinances? How did they get you to believe it? Because you never signed a contract. You had no ability to do that. What did they do? Again, we ain't talking fraudulent contracts.
14th Amendment.
They're not contracts. 14th Amendment is not law. How did they get you to believe this stuff, Moors?
Threat, duress, and coercion.
You don't threat, duress, and coercion. I ain't got that little eraser. Why'd you bring me an easy board and no eraser? I'll be back. Maybe I'll come up with the answer when I get back.
Linguistic apartheid.
Huh?
Linguistic apartheid.
Linguistic apartheid?
Yes. Usually chaos. That is good.
Anybody answer the question yet? Let's see. You need to be sitting here so you can sit here and answer the question. Oh, there we go. Somebody on Facebook answered it. Oh goodness, this sucks.
Linguistic apartheid and being lied to by dirty Moors.
It's long. Ain't this the way they got you to believe in the policy enforcers and the code enforcers and to get all the... Isn't this how you did it? Because if you didn't have this, or the lack thereof knowledge, would you be going to PennDOT to do all of these things? Would you even be going there? If you knew damn well you ain't had to spend every freaking month monopoly notes for insurance, monopoly notes for registration yearly, and registration yearly, would you be doing it? Who told you that you had to do it? Who told you to do it? We know the answer to this. We ain't got to guess on this one.
My mother was
Huh?
Mothers and fathers.
Guess what they said before they would let you get behind the wheel of their conveyance? What did they say? You gotta get your what?
License, driver
No, it was before that. Oops.
driver license.
Permit.
Mommy and daddy said, oh, before you can get behind the wheel of my conveyance, you gotta get a permit. That's the what? That's the law.
Permission to learn.
She said, man, you're not, I don't care what you're talking about, Sharon. I don't care what you're talking about, Belize. I don't care what you're talking about. You better get that permit before I'll teach you how to
Drive.
Damn, she was spelling the crap out of you. Keep telling you, gotta fix the sin mommy put you in. It goes deep. We ain't getting nowhere yet. So, who told you to do it? The permit and the drive. The permit and the driver's license. Your mother and your father told you, right? How'd they learn?
Their mother and their father.
How'd they learn?
Their mother and their father.
Where was it reinforced?
Reinforced by dirty Moors.
In the school.
And Albion Sons. The media is one of.
And how in the media did they enforce this social engineering? How'd they enforce it, y'all? I'm going to tell you. Y'all know the answers to all these questions. Y'all just think y'all going to be wrong. Huh? Huh?
By controlling the narrative.
All right.
And the school system.
It's very simple.
Through DMV.
I don't know how to spell it. Don't ask me.
New York undercover. Gangs in New York.
Television.
21 Jump
Beretta.
All in order, yeah.
Hawaii 5-0.
I could go on for days.
Welcome, Daniel.
Y'all and I watch these shows and they program the F out of you.
Yes.
Okay?
That's why they call them programs.
That's why they call it TV, television, television programming. Because homicide, New York Undercover, 21 Jump Street, Law and Order, all 20 different versions of it. Cops, NYPD Blue, NYPD Red. Come on, there's like 20 of them out now. I don't watch none of them because I'll be straight pissed at this point. CSI, where they thinking they can sit here and do all of these things that they cannot do. And they don't go through all that. They just do all those TV shows are to keep you thinking they can do all of those things, none of which they can do at that level. So who got you thinking all this was real? Because we sit in front of that damn TV way too much. Now Moors we like allergic to it at this point.
Yep.
We sit here and watch it and it just start really messing with our mental. We can't watch it. We sit there and watch it, be like, you know what? Especially those so-called black shows. Oh my God. They try to front like that, like they ratings ain't down the gutter. Black shows in movies. This is where they programmed you. They reinforced it in the facilities. And I'm going to tell this individual to come up here because his shirt is really offending me. Come on, show everybody your shirt. Yeah, he got to come up here. I'm like, really?
I wore it on purpose.
Really?
I wore it on purpose.
Look at this shirt. I'm sitting there like, did this dude really put this shirt on?
Brave and free.
What does it say?
Brave.
Brave and free. Islam got a chief on there and everything.
I
Islam.
wore it on purpose.
I was like, wait a minute, because I be seeing our sisters and brothers running around with those little banners. Not that one. The banners on they persons, and I be like, they just so wards of the state. Don't make no sense. Just like how that other shirt, which was called, what was it called?
State property.
State property. Like we didn't even realize we was just straight tripping. And all those so-called Hollywood, I don't know, y'all want me to go all of these places? Hollywood. They sit here talk about, oh, they gonna take Trump's star off the Hollywood walk. I'm like, all y'all stars getting taken up. They all gone. I was like, he's just the first one. What did y'all do besides reinforce the programming of your people? Who's the dummy they using right now? Y'all know the name. And I'm like, if y'all don't do that damn lean and I gotta do it, I'm be mad. Just know. If somebody don't do that lean by next Sunday, I ain't having class. Trust and believe. 3 of y'all better do it. And you better send it to me either in the file section of the group or you better email it to me. And if I don't got those 3 liens for him, Danny Glover, your brother and sister. But guess where I found out he was from? Where's Danny Glover from, y'all? I'm putting the spotlight on him because he know better. To be sitting here talking about some damn reparations. What reparations y'all want? Do y'all want reparations? What is it that you do want? Huh? Yeah, and guess what has to happen for us to get our land back? Y'all gotta go, because too many of y'all over here. Ain't that many supposed to be here. It was supposed to be about 5%. Like that 8% Prophet Noble Drew Ali talk about going to be here. Yeah, that's probably because that's the only amount that was supposed to be here to begin with. Right? But Danny Glover talk about, oh, we want reparations. No, we don't. Because y'all don't have no money. Y'all only have FRNs, and FRNs is debt notes. And debt notes don't exist. So they can't give you anything. And to accept a debt note is to do what? Because who's supposed to really be having those in their pocket? Wards, right? Federal employees, right? And what's an employee? Do you know what that is? I tell you, it's going to get to the point where you ain't even going to want to speak because you ain't going to want to say something wrong. Really? Is that you? No, I know. Oh, that's you. So, programming, Danny Glover, 3 Moors, lean done. I posted all the information you need to even try to locate his corporate property under his corporate name, and his middle name was a L. I can't remember what it was, but go check the Facebook. Somebody better do it, or I'm taking a vacation on Sunday. Just saying.
You never said where he was from.
He's from San Francisco, California. Check my timeline. Huh? Because I put his full name, his corporate name, because it's an L, I think, in the middle of Glover. He currently, or his last.
Danny Lebern. L-E-B-E-R-N.
Laverne, what is it?
L-E-B-E-R-N. Lebern. July 22nd,
Laverne.
1946.
July
22nd, 1946.
22nd,
Yeah,
1946.
46.
That's his born date, or at least in the system, his born date. And where does he domicile? Saying what?
He's
I don't think it's San Francisco.
he's
Is
born
it?
in San Francisco.
No, where's his last? Because in 2006 or 9, he bought an estate, and they say he still domiciles there. I found it. I posted it on my Facebook. I did post it on Facebook, so just go check my page. I ain't post that much, I don't think, before I post. Who was that? So the Danny Glover lean.
One child.
Huh? He got 1 son. Yup, he has 1 son. I wonder why, but let me shut up. Huh?
He's married since 2009.
He's married, and he just moved into that place in 2009, probably when he got married in whatever. Anyway, where was we at with policy enforcers? Where we at? And why you always back there in the cut? You always back there's all this space up front? Tricky. Alright. I'm sinking this all in for you guys because let me tell you, this is all Rico. I'm going to show you how they utilized, now think about gangs in New York, think about all mafia movies you've ever watched. Think about what they used to do. They used to go around to the communities and terrorize them for fiat, right? So they would go around and be like, oh, if you want to be protected and don't want nobody messing with you, you better pay the tax, right? The only thing that they changed is all those mafias that they got you focused on with so-called drugs, cocaine and stuff. They actually traded in all of that and went in and created these counties and corporations. And they just literally traded in those so-called suits, those gang suits, and turned them in for police department uniforms. Even though the so-called politicians are still those crooked mobster guys, they always have been, they never stopped being that. The only thing they did was create all those TV shows to make it seem like they were doing things for the so-called Americans' best interest, but never American is profiting off of that or being protected. They're actually being violated every day. And these are the corporations that reinforce that. So we got real estate. What else we have? I wrote all this down on my whiteboard at home. Tow in dealerships. So you got real estate, tow, and dealerships. Give me some corporations, y'all, some industries. Can't even think. Hospitals,
Banks.
banks,
Insurance companies,
insurance companies. Ooh, that's a good one.
investment banks,
Huh?
investment banks too.
That's part of the banks.
No, it's good for two different operations.
Investment? You want to just put investment since you want to make me put in?
No, it's two different types of,
What else?
Colleges be under that?
Who?
Colleges.
Say that. Who said that?
I did.
You said colleges?
Yeah.
colleges and universities, yeah.
Educational system.
School districts,
That's educational system. What else? Think about every place you get violated. Travel, transportation. What else? Food industry.
And refinery. Refinery.
And we're going to talk about each one. And how these gang members called policy enforcers protect all these bandits. And you're going to have a lot of you Moors, conscious or unconscious, y'all work for one of these industries. Just know that. You're literally involved in your own subjugation. Literally.
Police should be under there as well.
Who?
Police themselves should be under there.
Oh yes, they are. They're in here, but they are they're the enforcers of this racketeering, this whole RICO thing going on, and that's why the so-called Department of Transportation, through the so-called PennDOT, took the stickers off because they're like, "Oh, we ain't trying to be a part of RICO." You think they took it off because they just wanted to say some notes? No, they took it off because that implicated them. They stopped putting the stickers on because that implicated them in that, because the policy enforcer was only pulling them over because they saw the expired stickers. So when they saw the expired stickers, they said, "Ooh, your stickers are expired." And because people were ignorant of the law and didn't realize they never needed the stickers or registration or proof of insurance or any of those things in that fraudulent system, and why the so-called, where is that? Insurance is such a fraud. It's a fraud. Who's insuring you? And what are you using to be insured? Federal Reserve notes? And you're under a nom de guerre too. Not only are you under a nom de guerre, you're complicit. That's why status is very important to change, Moors. So you're not in this anymore. Because right now you are completely complicit in RICO. Didn't like that, did you? It hurts, doesn't it? Sometimes I need to take a drink when I realize all of this. And I'd be like, look, I can't be the only one with this in my head. I'm going to put it in all y'all. Share the pain. Excuse me.
With that said, do we have our own independent businesses where we employ only our people, Moorish,
The way we're doing it now is all the businesses that are currently operating here are our businesses. That's one. Because we're the sovereigns, it only goes down if we say it goes down, right? So that's where the leads come in. So as we do our due diligence and become the sovereigns that we are and start putting them on notice that they have to change, because we're telling them they have to change and we're commanding that. And the only corporations that are going to stick around are those that we need. Those that we want. Which would be what?
Hospitals.
Don't really need those. Why do you think you don't need hospitals? I'm going to tell you why. Wow. They call these hospitals, I think somebody needs to do the etymology on hospitals, because the reality is when you go in there, hospice, right? Where the dead go to die. The Bible, all of your sacred cultural documents, I ain't going to call them religious documents, I'm going to call you cultural heritage, tells you you don't need a cure for nothing you weren't born with. Everything that they tried to diagnose you with, you can cure in probably 24 hours. Some of them by just not eating for 3 days, drinking water for 3 days, herbs, alkaline. A lot of your bodies are acidic because you go here. You go here and you get the medications that they give you, and even though most medications start from a herbal base, they kill it with all the poisons they put in there and all the acidic things they put in there to give you the illusions of you being well, but yet it's only masking your symptoms. And because you've been given so much acidity that your body's like, look, you're not giving me nothing to help you. Your body's like, I could fix everything wrong with you if you stop eating all that chicken, all that pork, all that crap, and give me some greens and some kale and some water. That's how simple. Or just go walk outside and sunbathe. But you know, we're scared to get a little dark. We be sitting there like, I'll make those right. I used to walk around with umbrellas.
Also, the cough syrups they sell, it's very hard to find guaifenesin.
Who?
Guaifenesin, what it is expectorant. It's easy to find the expectorant / suppressant. So you're doing both expectorant and suppressant. That kills the body too.
But just think about this. The ground will give you whatever you need. Whenever you need it. How does it determine this, I wonder? Do you know? How does the grass grow? And how does the sun, it's like a rotating cycle, right? At night is when you're growing, right? Then you wake up and you're rejuvenating over every day, 24-hour cycle, right? And if you give your body the things that it needs, because the ground is producing exactly what you need. Now the things that you call weeds are the things that cure you from everything you can think of. Dandelions. Remember back in the day we used to love to pick dandelions and look at them and play with them. You're really supposed to be eating them.
Yes.
On a consistency basis. But we're so used to pleasure and desire, all these sinful things, that when something is good for us and it don't taste really well, we just discard that, not realizing that's the very thing. And then we'll go to one of these places when all the herbs and the spices needed to cure you grow everywhere. Everywhere.
Ignorance and social media, not through ignorance and television, like you mentioned before, we abandoned it.
We abandon it, right? Give Rome back their God so you can start tapping into your own frequency and fixing your own problems. And those are inside, and you already know all of those things that are wrong with you. So the hospitals, we never had those on our land, just so you know. Hospitals were just research laboratories to help fix other individuals that are of a humanoid nature that needed fixing. I'll let you ponder who those people are. So we never needed hospitals. We had our children at home, and that was where the start of the hypothecation came, because when we started going to these hospitals, because keep this in mind, in the 1700s and the 1800s, they started forbidding through their codes and statutes and ordinances you having children home. And they started making the so-called doulas or the midwives be licensed. Remember all that? All those lovely licenses that you had to have. So in order for you to get the licenses, you had to go into their so-called educational systems to get education. And then you had to pay a fee. And you had to do all of these things. So they blocked you out of everything in your national capacity. Yes. And created a so-called licensing for you to be able to partake in any of these things. And if you had your babies at home and they found out, because that's how they find out all the things that you do. I'm going to tell you exactly how they find out, but I want to see if you guess. How they find out all the stuff y'all doing? Huh? Huh? Huh?
So you got somebody else on of your likeness who feels that they're doing the right thing by going to let them know exactly what you're doing.
All these Albions are your spies, okay? They're watching you all day long. You're who they're watching. While y'all watching TV, they're watching you, okay? And when they see that you did something like, ooh, they go into their little, when they go to church, they're not doing, they ain't doing that. They're like, Sharon down the street has a generator, or Brenda, she just had a baby 2 days ago and I didn't see an ambulance take her to the hospital. You might want to go make sure she filled out her birth certificate and social security card. This is why they go to those facilities. I mean, those churches. What did Tasha Bay tell you the churches were? I didn't put them here. Church is spy centers. They're watching you. And guess who is the head of the watchers at the church?
Preacher.
Huh?
Preacher.
Ain't they your brothers and sisters? Yeah. Yep. I had somebody call me saying, I don't want to disappoint my dad. He's a preacher. I said, what about your babies? You don't care about them? I was like, who trumps that? Does the babies trump daddy? Because you brought them in. And who's the first person? What's the first duty you have? Do you have a duty to your parent that put you in the damn sin that you got to get yourself out of? Mommy and daddy did that. But now you producing heirs. So who is more important to you? You better answer this one right. Okay. Because we got to keep in mind the ones that's out to lunch right now, the 70s, the 80s, not 60s too much, maybe 60s a little bit. They out to lunch, right? Still going to church, doing all this, all day long. So, logically, let your logical mind talk to you. When you're like 70 and 80, who's going to be taking care of you? The babies or the people who are no longer going to be on this earth plane? I'm asking this seriously. So you want to sit here and make sure you raise your children in society with a status and standing, so by the time you 70, 80 years old, you ain't worried about nothing. Because you gave them what they needed to be productive members of your Moorish society, and they not falling for the okie dokie and sitting here a part of all of this. Because at one point or another, we were all a part of all of this. Violating ourselves in our own nature, which is why we're going through what we're going through. It's karma. Karma. If you're ignorant, karma gonna kick you in the butt because you can't defend yourself. The only way you're gonna defend yourself from all of this is knowledge and status. And this is why they sit here and try to call you sovereign citizen movement. But once you become competent and knowledgeable, none of those traps they try to set gonna work. They know they don't work no more. But they don't know how to do anything but lie and mimic you. Because they don't have a culture and a heritage of their own. They were civilized through the Hammurabi Code. Do I want to talk about that? I'm only saying this because I want you to go read that. Go read the Hammurabi Code. And I knew what it was, but I didn't know the so-called name of it. So when somebody told me, do you ever read the Hammurabi Code? You know, you got to sit here and go into a little bit deeper because I read so many things and they have different labels. I'm unclear. But the Hammurabi Code was something we created and established for them to civilize them. And that Hammurabi Code said a lot of stuff. I wish, or I would have loved to have had it here to read a couple of lines. And if I would have did my due diligence and read some and highlighted certain ones, y'all would have been like, man. They were so outlaw. They were so outside of law. The basic things we know not to do, they was just doing on a rip, like, didn't even matter. Remember a while back, there was a lady who was at a brothel. Stop going to bars. They're brothels. Who was at a brothel. And you don't know why they were established. A brothel is what? What is the purpose of going to a place to drink alcohol? What was the original purpose for those places?
Prostitutes.
Huh?
Prostitutes.
Prostitution,
Gambling.
gambling, all types of lewd things, right? So, but we're talking about for us, because we even in our bars, we chill because we vibrate higher. So regardless of those things, even though we have them, we just in there having a good time, partying, chilling, all consensual. But when you go into brothels of the Albion persuasion, you better not go by yourself.
Right.
You better go with somebody you really, really like. And the reality is, you better not go to begin with, because you don't belong there.
Right.
Because those facilities and those institutions were for raping women. Okay? Because rape in an Albion culture is not a violation of any law. Because women are what?
Subject.
They're subject and property. Property first. Didn't have to do right by them, ever. So there was an article about 2 years ago where this Albion son, that was at a party, this chick, she was there with her friend. She was there with her sister. I think it was. Her sister left her, y'all. They ain't, man. It's just titles, y'all, over there. It's just titles. So her sister left her in the bar by herself. She woke up on the side of a dumpster being raped by another Albion son in the middle of the freaking day. And it was two Albions that was riding their bikes down and saw it. They stopped and was like, this is really going on. Even though they know that stuff kind of happens all the time. So I just bring these things up to you to realize this is natural occurrences in their society, and sometimes it breeds into social media. And don't think that whoever did that article ain't get in trouble. They don't want you to know what they're doing in their communities. Because the Hammurabi Code is real. It's real. And I'll probably do a class on that coming soon. And I say these on purpose because I'll be honest, know what it's fitting to be in a minute. They know. And that's why they sit here just, well, we're just going to keep lying until somebody walks through the door and arrests us. That's literally what they're going to do. Until somebody knocks on the door of their domicile, they're squatting in, and arrests them. But it's our job to point to who they're supposed to be arresting. As Moors, it's our job to point all this out and to give commands as the God of the earth, which is what you are, the God of the earth. So what is this, the real estate? So you got real estate, so these are homes. So they created this whole infrastructure, and they utilize who? They utilize the so-called real estate agents. Who licensed the real estate agent? Huh? The who? The corporate state. To do what?
Give permission.
Huh?
To give permission to squat and receive fiat from.
So they'll sit here, they see abandoned lands, right? All lands are abandoned that are not occupied or claimed by Moorish American nationals, sovereigns of land. They're all abandoned. So they's like, oh, we got all these houses that's abandoned because we done kicked everybody out for not paying their Roman tax because they were subject and they didn't realize that they subject and they have to do these things because they're outside of law and they don't know anything about law. So we can sit here and play them over and over again like a fiddle because they just don't want to read, right? And even though we put them in the educational system and their moms placed them in that sin because they reinforced the lies and didn't learn and come together themselves, I'm going to keep banging on mommy till mommy stop trying to act like she a victim. I'm going to bang on her till she stop acting like she a victim, because she's not. She is the informant. Because guess what she do? When a policy enforcer comes down and knock on the door for their son, be like, Michael, what did you do? What did you do, Michael? He's upstairs in his room. Telling a damn gang member and a policy enforcer he upstairs in his damn room. And calling. And then you have grandmothers, aunts, uncles, cousins, boyfriends, and girlfriends calling the policy enforcers. Get her out here. He getting on my nerve. He hit me in my eye. We doing that. So as soon as they get happy when y'all had calamity, because y'all call them. And they don't care what's going on in your house. They don't give a damn. All they gonna do is sit here and be like, "Ooh, you gonna fill out this contract? Go ahead." And take whoever they want to take. Because it's usually sometimes the person that's doing the hitting think they're gonna call policy enforcers, and then they end up getting going in. They looking for the person that got the biggest payout. That's who ultimately gonna go into the POW case, right? So we have the real estate. So they'll put their little signs in the land in the yards, be like, "Ooh, house sale." And then them with who's involved? What other unlawful corporation is involved? This one, right? You got the real estate, you got the bank, you got the insurance, and
Sure.
you got the so-called, well, they're part of the gang members, the policy enforcers, because they're no higher entitled than a gang member. I'm not even going to sit here and call them sheriff anymore. I'm just going to call them a gang here and a policy enforcer.
Actually, mortgage companies.
Huh?
Like
Mortgage companies. All these corporations, the mortgage company falls a little bit under the banks,
Actually,
as well as the title companies.
Actually, the ones that we all really need to go after is not those specifically. It's the mining companies that support this. Because they mine the minerals out of the ground and finance everything.
And just keep in mind, we're showing how we're complicit in our own demise because we don't want to get together and do what we need to do to stop all this. And we think that we can hold our heads on this industry, or this one right here, as why we don't nationalize. A lot of our people hold on to this right here as to why they don't nationalize. Violating you, violating me, which is why you lean them.
That's Article 3.
Huh?
That's Article 3 of the, what is that? Verona Treaty.
Well, pull it up and read it. Article 3 of the Verona Treaty. Well, don't bring it up if you ain't gonna read it. Right? So they sit here and put a sign in the dirt. You're unsuspected, but because you're ignorant of the laws and you're ignorant how to reclaim property the way they claim it, because they claim it the same way you claim it as Moorish American nationals. Put a claim in. If nobody can refute your claim, you own that domicile. Free and clear. Lawfully. So if somebody is trying to say, like, you neck and neck, so you're a Moorish American national, here I got title to the land, and you the sovereign, right? Don't forget the sovereign piece. Can't nobody refute your claim. Why? Why can't anybody else refute your claim? Because how they coming in? What's their status when they come in and try to refute? Oh, I own this. I got a title.
Okay.
They subjects. They're outlaws, bandits, terrorists. They're all of these things. They're hiding under a corporation name, established under the fake state of corporation, right? So that's why you'll never get your affidavits rebutted. And an unrebutted affidavit stands as what? Law. Tiger actually came up with a constitutional challenge for...
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever think about it?
I wrote both of them up. Took me all day, but yeah.
Constitutional challenge for...
Oh,
the Attorney General, was it?
For the Attorney General against the statutes. So my proposal to the Moorish American Consulate is for the consulate, pursuant to the treaty, via the treaty, Article 5, is to challenge the statutes, get into the system, challenge the statutes, because that's constitutional form of government, enforce it, and then they have to knock out the statutes, because statutes and codes and ordinances don't apply.
Right.
And so by doing that, it starts liberating us. And I'm proposing traffic, because we're all it's always most of the time traffic issues. So we can take over. We can take over the traffic process.
Take over
the courts. Well, take over the venues. I can't say take over the courts.
Transportation.
Right.
Transportation is the biggest way the highwaymen violate you. Transportation.
Yeah.
So whenever you're traveling, they come up, pull you over. License, registration, proof of insurance. And Moors, because they like, well, damn, I just got pulled over. Not Moors, I'm sorry, black people. Because they'll have the license, registration, proof of insurance, but some of them like, look, I can't afford license, registration, proof of insurance, but yet they still driving. Well, if you can't afford license and registration, proof of insurance, you can't drive as a ward. That's all they're trying to tell you. If you want to be a ward and be ignorant to the laws that protect you, then you have to have a license, registration, and proof of insurance. And you can't sit here and stand on law when you're an outlaw.
That was my problem.
How you gonna sit here and be like, well, based on the Constitution, but you're not a party to it? Dred Scott said that. The Dred Scott case told you what your problem is and are and has been. Your status and your standing. So you can't sit here and be like, oh, we're gonna act just like the Moors. I ain't getting no light run payment, but I don't want to do the nationality piece. But yet I want to travel, and not realizing you are a commercial identity. You're identifying as commercial property of somebody, and you don't know that because you ain't fixed the sin your mom put you in. Moms, I'm gonna be begging on you till you fix it all day.
I can read that.
Because nobody else can fix it. Why can't nobody else fix it but mom? Why can't sons fix it for the mom? Please get this one right.
Mom's a stargate. She's the first teacher.
She's the first teacher. She first teaches in the womb. So when y'all sit here having babies and pregnant, stop watching cop shows. That's my suggestion. Don't turn on the TV at all. My suggestion. Don't turn on the TV. Don't listen to no garbage music. Read all law to your children. You're going to get edified, and that baby's going to come in with some knowledge. Right? But if you're doing the opposite of that, having the TV on, watching all those cop shows, talking about Negro colored and black things, your babies is going to come out Negro colored and black. Not only are they going to come out Negro colored and black, you're going to reinforce that. Because you're their first teacher. Why you think? I actually talked to Amor Moors, and she said that she's got to go back to the plantation after what? She only get 6 weeks paid, not even paid vacation. I mean, paid maternity leave. Let me tell you, they taking all y'all privileges. Back in the day, when I was a ward, they gave you 12 weeks paid. 12 weeks. And if you wanted to take longer, you had another extended. Like, they was treating the wards good, you think, to a degree. Were they really? They don't want you raising your babies. That's why they put you back into the plantations. They don't want you raising them. They want you to take them into all of those dummy educational systems so you can keep them deceived and somebody else is raising your children.
I got that.
So mothers, you need to stay home. Don't feel bad about, don't let nobody say, oh, you're deadbeat. No, mom, stay home and raise your children.
Got that Article 3.
What is it?
Treaty of Verona. All right, the Treaty of Verona.
Article 3, Treaty of Verona.
Okay. That's convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in the state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes. The high contracting parties declare to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt, with the aim of ameliorating their own interests so intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes, and the contracting powers join in offering their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicit his constant cooperation in their views of submitting their nations. And that's the threat under the secret Treaty of Verona to suppress popular governments in the American republics as the basis of the Monroe Doctrine. The secret treaty sets forth clearly the conflict between monarchical government and popular government, and the government of the few as against the government of the many.
You know, the reality is a government can only be instituted by sovereign states. Everything else is just an association or organization. It's nothing more. So
that the third article made the point. That's the church, and it's the popes of Rome is running. So any of these denominations, they think they're different or not. It's still bad.
If you look up Christian and all that, you'll see that you all, yes.
I just wanted to say, add on to the Treaty of Verona, the revised versions will be like the Jim Crow, the Negro Acts, the Christian Black Code of 1724. So you're looking at different names, but really the same agenda. throughout town.
Mhm.
When you hear those terms, Negro Act, Christian Black Codes, Jim Crow, the apartheid, those terms go back to the Treaty of Rome.
It's long. Yes, they do. Everything's all of their international, or not even international, their processes and policies reinforce the secret treaty of Verona, and that is the treaty to literally suppress any republic or nation states, actual nation state sovereignty. So their whole purpose is to create that whole so-called world order, which they failed completely and miserably upon. So now everything is breaking down. And now the only place that they're literally forced in this bottle, which is so-called, which is Northwest Amexem, because no other country is trading with them now. The dollar, the so-called Federal Reserve notes, which you think was the dollar, is no longer tradable because the Moors are awake now. The Moors are awake and they can't do business with them no more. They can't do business with them no more because there will be a lot more calamity if they continue to do so. And their sovereign capacity, because if you really knew history, real history, Moors, the Moabites, started everything all over this Asia planet. Everywhere. That's why we call Asiatics. So we are the caretakers, let's say, for the lack of a better word, of the world. That's what the Moors are. And when we're in our sovereign capacity, they cannot circumvent or war against us. Or that is literally death for them in their progeny. And that also leads you to why they were established and created to begin with. Because prior to us, there was no other beings here. It was just Moabites. And then all of these other humanoids came later. And I don't want to mess it up for you because I know, some of us really don't get down to real science, real law, real knowledge. They really want to sit here and play the Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz games. They really want to stay in those they really want to stay ignorant to a degree. But this ain't that time today. Today, Moors got to be themselves. They have to be themselves, and anybody that's not willing to be themselves and not willing to stand up for the laws of the land, they gotta go. All of them. Every last one. Right? So we got hospitals. So now when they pull you over through the transportation, right? Now they towing your conveyances, right? So they're stealing your homes under those fake unlawful contracts you don't know are unlawful, and you don't have to adhere to them. You just have to recognize the fact that this is a fraud, this is a fraud, this is a fraud, this is a fraud. All of these are frauds. These are all gang member corporations that were established to hypothecate your stuff because you left it. So once you stop being sovereign by stop being yourself, you left the door open for all of these corrupt industries to come, because they could not come while you were in your sovereign capacity. And the question you need to ask yourself is, why couldn't they come before you were in your sovereign, before you were outside of sovereignty? What stopped them from doing any of this in your sovereignty?
Well, for real estate, that's a levy tool. So they couldn't do real estate. That's going to shut down right away. There will be no more real estate sales.
The question I asked was, in your sovereign capacity, how come this could never happen?
But you don't have the identity, you're not the state, you're not a subject.
Not a subject, that's good. You know law, that's good. They had to come to you to establish any and everything, so you wouldn't even allow this stuff to happen. And the only way it happens is through your ignorance, right? So, and then we got to look at, okay, wait a minute, if there was something called a temple, a Moorish Science Temple of America, and they were supposed to be establishing and enforcing laws, why didn't they make sure none of this came on land? Or, how about this, make sure if this was on the land, it was only on lands granted to Albions for specific charters to do their own business. But it was never supposed to breed outside of those colonies into sovereign territories. This is why we kept the reservations, those individuals that came here to live on the reservations that were not of us. This is why we kept them isolated from our communities.
Right.
Because of this stuff. If once you start bleeding and start mingling in with individuals of this, like, think of this. If you're royalty, would you allow your child, would you allow your daughter or your son to sleep with a peasant or a slave and let them become a prince or a princess? Would you do that? So why are you doing it now? Why are we allowing our sons and our daughters to cohabitate with foreigners who are subjects? Why are we doing that? I mean, the reality is it's going to be on them in the long run. We're just trying to tell you, stop. Stop doing it. I ain't even put that up here. I forgot. Matter of fact, do I need to make room for that one?
Yeah.
And what's a family?
Subject.
What is the definition of a family?
Slave.
Slaves, right? So who's supposed to be a family? Court. This is not a hard question. Because if you are not a slave, you can't have a family. You got tribes. So if you are not a slave, you can't have family. Why the hell is y'all in family court?
Those marriage contracts.
Excuse me? Excuse me? One of these days you're going to realize what a contract is and what a contract is not.
I meant licenses.
One of these days you're going to realize what a contract is and a contract is not. One of these days you're going to realize what a contract is and what it is not and what constitutes its validity. Because we can't sit here and say, oh, just because mommy signed documents, they obligate you. The only way you were enslaved was mentally. No other damn way. Do you get what I'm saying? She enslaved your mind. Because what she put here was garbage that subjected you to this garbage. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you're ignorant of knowledge, you a slave all day. And when you stop becoming ignorant of knowledge, damn, you got a scimitar, you got a Uzi, you got a tank. You walking around like Kyle, motherfucker talking to you, and the bullets just bouncing. Right? And you got to realize they only can do what you tell them to do in your sovereign capacity. So my point I'm trying to make is family, right? And I'm gonna stay on this for a little bit because we don't want to learn what it is that we need to do to be productive members of society, and we don't want to fix the sin our mother put us in, and we want to continue to identify as these nom de guerres. Damn it, we're gonna be a family court. And these Albions used to violating you because, one, a lot of the policy enforcers, in order for them to get these gang members to do their JOBs, they got to miseducate them too. So when they come to you and you sit here talking, get the hell off my land. Get off my property. Who told you to come here? Like, y'all got to get to that point where you walking out the front door, but like, if you don't get your little funky monkey ass off my stool, somebody told me to stop cursing. I don't want to. I'm just going to say it. Because until you determine to tell me what a curse is, I ain't cursing. Tell me what it is. You going to do that due diligence? I think not. You're going to just look at the things that I say that violate you, but yet all this stuff right here violates you every day. And I curbed my verbiage because I was going to say something before that. You're going to sit here and let all this happen, but you're going to worry about my little old words that offend you. I'm just saying. The prophet said, if I told you everything, you'd go back to sleep and be like, really? Really? Right? So, mothers, y'all gonna get mad at me, I don't care. Mamas, the reasons why you sitting here taking your consorts, like the fact that you even go into here to apply, the fact that you even go in here to apply for some services implicates you in this. Eureka. Do you know that? Whenever you call policy enforcers for anything, Eureka. You know that, right? Am I saying this? So if you call so if you sit here, first of all, don't get in relationships where you can't get out of them. How about that? Stop violating people and sneaking around, what's the word I want to say? Committing adultery. Do y'all know what that means? What adultery means? I'm going to keep saying this. I don't care if you get mad. What is adultery? Tell me what you think it is. I'm waiting. Somebody tell me what adultery is.
I thought it was, it's like cheating on your spouse. Right?
Cheating on your spouse. Look up spouse. So it's cheating on your spouse. Can I tell you that's not what it is? Would you like to know what it is?
Yeah.
Voluntary sexual intercourse between a married person and a person.
No, that's not what it is, no. Because you keep going on Google, huh?
I'm asking you.
You asking me what?
What is adultery?
Okay. Look, let's see what the Black's Law is going to tell you. I want to have shock absorption here. Do you know what adultery means, Annette?
No, but I just found something on a curse.
On a curse? What's a curse?
Kind of interesting.
What's the definition of a curse?
An appeal or prayer for evil or misfortune to befall someone or something.
Well, damn, did I do that? Did I just curse? Did I want evil to befall you? No. What does the word F-U-C-K mean?
Who?
Do they have... Let's not offend. What does F-U-C-K mean? Or A-S-S mean? Come on, give me the etymology since you brought it up. But what does adultery mean? Y'all might want to go to the etymon. But then the etymon might not have it because they don't want you to know what that is. What is adultery? Y'all really gonna make me say it? Huh?
I have it.
What is it? What does it say?
In Black's Law, 6th edition.
6. Oh, it's gonna be a lie, but go ahead.
5th edition.
Is it 5th edition?
Voluntary sexual intercourse of a married person with
Nope.
a person.
That's what it said.
What else? What you got?
Well, adult I have in civil law is a male infant who has attained the age of 14, a female infant who has attained the age of 12.
Ah. So they're saying an adultery is a child. Okay, what you saying? Or a kid. What you got? Probably same thing?
Same thing it says.
Can I tell you what adultery really means? Probably got to go back farther because they want you to still cohabitate with certain individuals that you shouldn't be doing it with.
Something to do with rape?
No. Should look up rape. That's a good one.
Abandoned wife.
Huh?
That means abandoned wife.
Abandoned wife?
Yeah, that's what it said in the 4th position.
Oh, goodness. Can I tell you, adultery means to have sex with someone outside of your nativity. Did I just tell you that?
Yeah.
So when y'all sit here and have relations with anybody outside of your nation, you're committing adultery. Here's a question. How many raise your hand committed adultery? And be honest. You better be honest. Be honest, people. I got my hand raised. I'm being honest. I committed it. I was ignorant, didn't stop it from being reality, but I did it. And a lot of you doing it right now. In about 5 minutes, you're going to be doing it. Just saying. I'm here to get you out to sin. I'm sorry. If I got to be uncomfortable, you're going to be uncomfortable too. I'm sorry. We all going to be just uncomfortable, moles, or black people. Whichever one you choose to be. Because it's a choice. It's not disability. What you got? What you looking up?
You got something in here?
For what? Adultery?
No.
For what? What are you looking up? Oh, episode. Where's it at?
Fornicating
Where's
under
it at?
common knowledge. Fornicating under common knowledge.
Oh. Wow. Huh? What you got?
I got adulteration,
Adulteration?
the act of corrupting or debasing, the
Ooh.
act of mixing something impure.
Come up here and read that out loud. Come on. He got it.
Adultery.
Didn't have to look far for it because the answer is like, y'all won't get this today.
Adulteration.
Yeah.
Woo, baby. Let him read.
They say the act of corrupting or debasing, the act of mixing something impure or spurious with something pure or genuine, or an inferior article with
Damn.
a superior
Did I say that?
of the same kind. The term is generally applied to the act of mixing up with food or drink intended to be sold, other matters of inferior quality, and usually of a more or less deleterious quality. Through the artificially colored poppy seeds were not deleterious and had the same food value as the naturally colored seed.
Islam. Woo, that's the Black's Law 4th.
Fourth edition.
Wow. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that for a minute. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that for a minute. Because I done marinated on that one for a minute. I done did it. Just so you know. So he said, what? Mixing. Pure with impure.
That's not adultery.
Natural with unnatural.
Yeah.
Adulteration. Oh, you trying to justify your adulterous behavior? Huh? Because our son's going to get it. Because I'm going to tell y'all, big reason we going through this. Just letting y'all know. Got to look at the history.
Yes.
It goes back a little far. Just saying.
Maybe Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and...
I'm trying to tell you that.
Hansel and Gretel? What's up with Hansel and Gretel? Give us some... But now, come up here and talk about Hansel and Gretel.
Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill fell down the hill to fetch... Wait a minute. Ran up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Water was knowledge, y'all. Jack fell down.
Broke his
Broke his crown. Jill came tumbling after. Yup. Because your ass... Ooh. I called myself that time. Because you fell. We fell right along with you. But why we fall? Because we can't blame sons. Because guess who wasn't supposed to be in power?
Mother.
What? What did you say?
Mother was supposed to be in power.
Yes. And we did what? We love our sons so much. We was like, all right, we're going to take a break, y'all. We're going to go over the island, chill out. Y'all got this for a minute. They had that for a minute, and it was like, hey, whoo. So can we blame them? Because they should never have been in power to begin with, huh?
7/11 AD.
7/11. So guess what started happening when we let them rule? They was never supposed to turn it into a patriarch. Wasn't supposed to do that. You had the laws. You knew the laws because you came from us. So you ain't had no reason to be violating the law. And what was the number one law that was violating? I just said that. Didn't I just say it? What was it? Adultery, right? Anyway. I ain't gonna go there. All right, because some of our sons be like, y'all told us to do. You know that? Why that? Huh? I'm like, you know the law, right? Hammurabi put the code down. He's like, here the code. Don't violate the code. And I'm gonna task all Moors that watch this video today, or whenever you watch it, or Albions if you watch it, or aliens, whoever. Because y'all gonna have to kind of start getting back into that alignment. That's all I'm trying to say. Gonna have to kind of start acting right. Some relationships is going, and it's supposed to happen. Let it happen. It's supposed to. You're supposed to, as you go up in frequency back to where you're supposed to be, certain things are going to fall off. And they have to. If you want to make it up there, you better. If you want to make it up, you better. And everybody that looks like us is not us. Everybody that thinks they look like us is not us. Let's say that. Okay? Just because you might have a little tan, and just like you might have a little, curly hair, don't mean you us. It is a surefire way to find out if you us or not. And maybe, well, keep this in mind. We had blood tests before we started doing stuff to make sure we wasn't doing stuff with the wrong kind of people. Just saying. We had blood tests before you could even conjoin into any union. You had to make sure that classification was right. And why would they want to kind of go away from that? Why would they want to say, oh no, you don't gotta get a blood test. We all saying kumbaya, we in a melting pot. Let's just melt all together. Can you melt all together? Because it all depends on what Stargate you come from. Stargate determines descendability and the lack thereof. Okay? So, they got the definition for F-U-C-K. I'm going to read it. What was that? It's a slang. It says it's a vulgar slang. To have sexual intercourse with, to take advantage of, betray or cheat, victimize, Well, there aren't a lot of people doing that. Used in the imperative as a signal of angry dismissal. To engage in sexual intercourse. To act wastefully or foolishly. To interfere, meddle. Often used with. I'm done with this definition. I need the etymon. Okay? Because it's just slang. Look up ASS. Alright, where are we at? We were talking about family court. Family court is what we were talking about. Slave court is what we was talking about. Who belong in slave court?
Slaves.
Subjects and slaves. Why Moors be going into those things?
Because of licenses.
Ignorance.
Thank you, he was right. Ignorance. License. What's a license?
That's what got them under.
What's a license?
Permission.
Huh? From who?
From the corporation. That's what
Okay,
got
so
them
if you
under
get permission from a corporation, does that mean anything?
That puts them
What?
there.
That puts them where?
They're in family court.
How does that put them in family court? Because don't you have to have an agreement, a affiliation, a contract?
That's right.
Yeah, if you're a ward of the state,
If you're a ward of the state, meaning
that
you are identifying as,
Them.
which is
subject.
subjects, which is
Property.
property. You're there. And why are you there? More than any of these so-called corporate agreements and all this other stuff you think you have or contracts, why are you really there? Thank you. Ignorance. That's the only reason you're there. Got nothing to do with nothing else. Nothing to do with anything else. I hope you guys are getting what I'm putting down. You're there because you don't realize, one, where the baby come from. We're talking contract, natural law. Where baby come from? Sons, here is a hypothecation you are implicit in right now. Where do you think the baby come from? You think it comes from your testicles. Let's just say that. You think you create life. Do you create life?
So I contribute.
What?
I contribute.
How?
I shoot out the
You shoot out what?
The protein.
What proteins do you shoot out?
Come on now.
Ain't no come on now. You better know what you're talking about before you come to this Moabitus. What you shooting out? Who was the first being, natural being on this planet?
The woman.
Who?
The woman.
So if she was the first natural being on this planet, did she need anybody
No.
to help her do anything?
No.
So how you contributing?
That's all it is, contribution.
How you contributing?
I don't know.
Huh?
Stabilize it.
It's called patriarchy. It's the sin you're in. The patriarchy is your sin, sons. You think you created something when you are the created.
Right.
If you're the created, if you have to exist through a womb man, how you creating anything? And how you determining the ramifications or the quality? How? If you yourself is created.
You're right.
I'm saying this because you need to get it.
You're right.
If for you to be here, something had to happen. For me to be here, nothing had to happen. How am I dependent upon you? Sons, y'all gotta get this. I want you to get this because I want you to be here. But you can't disrupt nature's law and not pay for it. And sons, y'all paying for that right now. We are complicit. I hate bringing the mommy in, but she deserves to be in. I gotta bring us in because we let y'all rule and y'all took this patriarchy thing and y'all just was like, damn. I don't know what y'all was thinking, but you know, I don't know. Y'all protection is here and woman. That's where y'all protection and y'all security. Because if she was here first, who the real sovereign, y'all?
She is.
Oh my God, say it again.
She is.
Say it louder and y'all say it and mean it.
She is. My mother is.
Your mother is sovereign.
Mother,
She is the power you derive all your strength from. Nobody else, you can get it. So stop circumventing her and stop oppressing her ass. Stop doing it. Give her the power she needs to do your bidding. Because guess what? Who the hell we doing this for? Do you get it? We sit here what? I ain't gonna say that. Do you get it? I retract sometimes. The spirit tells me to. I was having nightmares about this thing to talk to y'all. Mommy said, get him, girl. And I said, whoosh. And sometimes I go running around the track to calm it down. Because it's that powerful. Telling y'all. Mommy is the best thing since sliced bread. Y'all gonna get it. Y'all have to. And anybody who's in, what's the word, opposition, you might have to go away for a while and earn your place back here. You might just have to. Because if you're not going to accept that, you ain't our son. Because our sons hear our voices and they behave. All of the babies we created are not our sons. Because we ain't bring them in right. We gotta bring y'all in right. It's our job. But y'all gotta help us with that. Y'all know that, right? What's up?
Just wanted to say, when you have matrimony, called a holy matrimony, because it's divine. But matrimony, the etymology of the word means mother's money. So
Matrimony means mother's money?
Mother's money. Matrimony, matriarch. She's an ark, mother.
Perfect.
Matriarchal societies were always the first societies. Even in the time of Kemet or the ancient world, Amexem, the ancient world, mother always chose the pharaoh. She always chose, yes. She always called.
She was sitting right there, telling honey.
So we need to
What's
get
she
that
saying?
to respect. So don't cry when she gets the house and all that. It's supposed to go to her.
It is. She's the matriarch.
Land, the house.
She's the
everything, go to
sovereign.
her.
You should be warned against her. When she say clean the damn gutters, all right, damn. You say that when you're outside, though. Don't say it while you're
Yeah, don't say that.
Because her power is absolute. Because whatever she says, what she speaks, what she thinks is coming to pass. It is happening to you every day. So make sure you don't get with no crazy mom. If her Stargate is jacked and she's jacked, you might want to walk away. I don't care how appealing it looks. Because you're going to pay later. And she's going to make you pay. She is the biggest deceiver. And she had to deceive her son. Because he bought that patriarchy. And when he came into her face, when he was standing neck to neck, he thought he was her equal. And she had to show him the truth. Even though she didn't tell him that that's why it happened, why he's in the POWs, why he's getting gunned down. She doing that to y'all. She is. And why is she doing that to y'all? Are we going to answer this question? But she's doing it to y'all because of those damn heroines y'all had, and that damn adulterous behavior y'all was partaking in, and that damn Republican form of government y'all wanted for y'all. What do I call them? I don't know what to call them, but I don't want to be derogatory. Because social media be trying to go gang war with me. I don't know what to say.
Demo.
Huh?
Demonstration, demonstrative.
Demonstration. Like that whole platform, you were looking to give them a platform because you thought that the seeds that they were creating were yours, and you don't create seeds. You don't create them. They're either natural or GMO.
Yep.
Natural, GMO. So if you're going to pick somebody who's a subject to have to be with, you're denationalizing any possibility you have or you could pass on to them. They have nothing. Why would you do it? Why would you choose to have subjects and not sovereigns?
So that goes both ways.
It really don't.
No?
It really don't.
What do you mean?
It really don't. Do I really got to go over biology 101?
I think so.
I do?
I think so. And
No,
that's
I'm
so
saying-
confusing.
No, I'm saying
Can a womb maid create anything but a stargate? She creates sons and daughters, right? Her womb, only certain beings can come through it. Natural beings. If our sons don't help us create, what do you think Albion's sons do? I'm asking. Is it a difference?
What was the question?
So you're concerned that, okay, well, why? I'm going to answer this question for you. Okay, why do the babies come out with straight hair and they look like mixed breed people? That's why you're asking that question? Why are you asking it? What's good for the goose is good for the gander? Still trying to be at the same level. Our son's got to talk. I want you to talk. I want you to tell us how you feel. Completely. This is the perfect room to be in to do
The
it.
question is what?
Huh?
The question is.
Why isn't it the same for when an Asiatic woman has relations with an Albion son?
They're doing that now.
They doing that now? Yeah.
More than ever before.
More than ever before. You got to ask yourself that question, why? But keep in mind, everybody that looks like us are not us.
Right.
Everybody that looks like us are not us, so maybe those are Albions with Albions. Maybe
The
that.
question is why isn't it the same?
Huh?
You're asking why isn't it?
Why do you think it's the same as if a son is with an Albion? Because again, it's a discreditation of the woman. It is that. Because you think that we need assistance to create life. Which you agree, what you bring to the table is a reminder of how to do it. Because naturally we just sprang. So if I love you and I say, oh, I love this man, oh, I just wanna, we sitting here thinking in our brains, oh, I wanna have a baby. And then it's automatically manifesting. But there's nothing sexual happening to make it so. Because the mother not only dictates when she wants to get pregnant based on her need for a baby, she determines exactly what she wants it to look like. So if she wants it to have blonde hair and blue eyes, it'll come out with blonde hair and blue eyes. That's how strong and powerful creation is. She makes it look any way she wants. And if you are dealing with patriarchy in a colonial environment, some of our mothers did that to save their seeds. So they did not go through what, me, darker-hued individuals went through. Because they were looking for those stargates, those beacons, those really connected to themselves in the highest of the blood races to deceive and to destroy. So we had to hide our seeds within.
But now
you understand what I'm saying?
She can also have this child go in the path that she wants within that 9-month period of, in the womb, in the time frame of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
She can pretty much say, look, I want my child to be a leader. You know what I mean?
Based on what she's putting in that child is what she's going to get out. And that's the thought,
right,
as well as the action. As well as realizing everything she manifests starts with her thought and how she wants it to come out. So when she's mad at you and you wonder why you might have got pulled over and you was in the sweatbox for 5 days, she did that. That's how powerful she is. A lot of times she don't know she's doing it. That's how powerful she is right now. That's how she's being used against her own today. Because she's not aware that she makes the sky sunny and she makes the rain fall and she makes hail. She makes all that. All of that she makes. The world is a reflection of her today. And when she gets back into her power, the world will be a reflection of her. And you're going to love that. That's why it's so important to wake her up. And it's so important not to oppress her. And it's so important not to sit here and be like, what's for dinner? Do you realize what she has to do? And you're asking her what's for dinner? Maybe you should make dinner.
Oh, I do.
Her job is so much more important than yours. She makes the sun rise. She makes the sun set. And you asking about dinner. I'm being serious, y'all. Y'all got that from the Romans, just so you know.
Yep.
Patriarchy, colonialism. And we mad at y'all for that. So when we come home, we be sitting here straight gang war with you inside of our head, which we're thinking. We're thinking it.
Well, I was
They ain't saying it. Because y'all know y'all like to start punching people. We want to say it, but you're violent. Some of you.
Now I read a little of the Clock of Destiny, the Zodiac Constitution, and that's what I was saying.
The 9 months she's supposed to be reading all lawful, all things of nature, culture. She's supposed to be putting everything in that baby when it's in the womb. And 3 months before she has the child, she's supposed to be preparing, along with you two, her Stargate to receive a divine being. And she ain't doing none of that. She don't even know when she having babies at this point. She be sitting here, don't even know she's 7 months pregnant. That's how crazy she be. Just like how you be seeing on the TV, I didn't know I was pregnant right at the time I gave birth. Really? Can you just imagine what she been putting in that baby? Ooh. You understand what I'm saying? So let's think about what the Albion is doing. And her city. Why do you think they so violent? Why do you think they so crazy? Why do you think they lie all the time? Why do you think they deceive all the time? That's all she put in him. And then for those elite Albions, she putting all our signs in them.
Yes.
And we sitting out here watching all those shows.
While they doing that, while they teaching.
We supposed to be protecting our Stargates. And we shouldn't be sitting here forcing her to go to plantations while she's pregnant. All these things y'all supposed to be supporting. But at the same time, y'all not supposed to be in POW camps and y'all not supposed to be in JOBs. Jobs. Those are 4 subjects. The Albions, the only thing that they tricked us into doing is realizing that we forgot the only thing they're supposed to be on this landmass to do is work for us. That's cleaning the gutters, that's making the buildings, anything that has to do with JOBs, they're supposed to be doing. They just got you tricked. So when you sitting there looking at construction sites and wondering why ain't no Asiatics, there ain't supposed to be no Asiatics there. You ain't supposed to be doing any of this. You're not a subject. He is falling asleep. Our only issue is Tiger. I'm sitting here screaming and you can literally fall asleep. Wow, that's good.
I think that
The Constitution. Oh, it got you tired. What time is it, y'all? That was 3. We got 30 minutes. Can we tie this up? Oh goodness, you read this. No, you read it.
You read it.
Oh my goodness, you read it. Oh damn. Come on, Tahir, read this. You know, when I get these Arabic words, I be like, this is from the Clock of Destiny, Volume 1, page 53. You want to read the Arabic portion.
I get to sit down, yay.
Islam. Jal Haku Wuza Hakal. The truth has come. Ana Hak. Translation. I am the truth. Ana Lahu La Ilaha Illa Ana. Translation. Truly I am God, besides me there is no other. Yes, the kinky-haired Asiatic woman is a god of humanity. The following is the great phrase on the dollar of the Moorish woman prior to the rise of the Order of Rome. Allah taught cult. Translation, in God have I trusted, namely, self with moral principle.
Islam.
No.
Let's think about the scimitar in the so-called Masonic orders. Think about that picture, the scimitar over top of the Moabite head. What are they telling you? That your sons are a part of in your Masonic orders? Subjugation of the Moabite woman. Who allowed that? Say it louder.
Our son.
Maybe the sons need to say that at this point. Yes, you was there. Contrary to popular belief.
It's manifested in another
Vessel. Exactly.
You was there.
You was here today. You was here in the 1800s, the 1700s, the 1600s, the 1500s, the 1400s. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Neither are you. So just like how Nabian said that too. That's so funny. You just reminded me of Nabian with that comment. He said, we can't be held for the sins of our ancestors. Why can't you? How come you are? Why is it that you are held for the sins of the ancestors? Because of what? You're them returned. You are your ancestors. And your ancestors are you. Y'all gotta read that book. What's the book name? Life Beyond Death. There is no end, there is no beginning, there's only a re-up. There's no end, there's no beginning. You don't die and just go into paradise. Contrary to popular belief, you don't do that. Energy never ceases to exist, ever. So when you're out of this body, you're going into another one. Or you're going where else? All right, so we get back to family court. So if mommy has the babies and she don't need the son, let me qualify some things. There are some beings that need assistance with birthing because they don't have that ability naturally. That's what in vitro fertilization is. That's what the hospitals are for. So they can fool you to believe that there is a classification of humanoids that can create life without assistance. They cannot. They cannot. Let me say that again. They cannot, but you can. So when you sit here and think of the children that you birthed, did anybody help you do that? So what you need support for? You got a whole nation. You don't need no support. You just need to be yourself. And stop holding on to somebody. And the reasons why they do this to you, sons, is because of the patriarchy. You want to be a patriarch? You want to be the creator of my seed? You're going to take care of it. That's why. You want a patriarch? You want to oppress me? I'm taking you to family court. Ha, ha, he, he. And then you go to jail if you don't pay. So is it her fault that you have hypothecated her womb, sons, through saying that they're your children and you're going to take them from her? But for some people, family court, you need assistance, and that assistance ain't coming from that male, just so you know. I'm just trying to help you out a little bit. Because when they go into the hospitals, that's where they're getting artificially inseminated with a hybrid breed child. That ain't even theirs. Just saying. Do I gotta go on? Huh? Everybody's so quiet. Y'all gonna have some nightmares tonight, aren't you?
Keep that true.
So, the point that I wanted to make is the policy enforcers and the police departments. And before y'all got here, even though I don't know if y'all was watching it on Facebook, I was talking about they are supposed to be doing what? Enforcing what?
Laws.
And that's probably why they change and they build their cars to say code enforcers. Maybe that's why. Got anything to do with it? Does that have anything to do with the fact that, oh, you're going to call yourself something, you better be that. And if you're not going to be that, mama going to cut you down. That's why they're dying, Rob. That's why they're so, quote unquote, committing suicide. And now people are recognizing it because of all of the knowledge that they're gaining through this age of Aquarius, which is age of information. They're learning the truth. That policy enforcer is a bandit, terrorist, and an outlaw. And so when they pull them over, some people ain't happy about that. And they're going to defend themselves, and law supports that action. Because if somebody, let me rephrase this. If your little cousin down the street came and kicked your door in, or wait a minute, no, not even your cousin. Let's just say neighborhood little thug. Came and kicked your door in and said, give me your TV. What you going to do? Huh? Why don't you do it when the policy enforcer pull you over?
Because of ignorance.
Huh?
Because of ignorance, because they're the law.
No, I mean, why don't you defend yourself when it happens? When they pull you over and they say, license, registration, proof of insurance, why y'all just fringe up? Huh?
Mine personally came through ignorance because at the time that happened, I just was not aware of it.
Right? You thought they were? You thought they were what? What did you think? What does our people historically think of a policy enforcer when they pull them over? What is the first thing that comes to mind?
Authority.
Authority. What else?
Fear.
Fear. False information appearing to be real. That's what that is. What else? You always looking at me, but what else comes to mind? Fear, ignorance, frustration. You know, why the hell is he pulling me over? I didn't do anything.
And how about no knowledge of God? And when I say that, I mean the governmental ordinance department.
Right. And why don't, and here's the better question you probably need to ask yourself, why don't they know any of this? Why are they running around getting driver's license, fucking insurance, why are they going around doing all of this? Why?
That's simply that's what we were told.
Through this that our parents sent us to, right?
Yeah.
And where was we supposed to learn the law?
In the womb.
In the womb. By who?
Mother.
Mom. So did she create you with a big gaping hole of missing things?
Yes.
You are missing so much. Who is responsible to fill that hole today?
At this point, we are.
Yep. You got to fill it. You got to fill it with the knowledge and the culture and the heritage that she deprived you of.
Right.
And you got to let her know, look, Mom, you got to fix this. Y'all got to stop being scared to talk to your moms. She created the deficit in you because it first existed in her. And she has to fix it. She cannot sit here and claim to be a victim. She's serving her babies up to Rome on a silver platter with an apple in the mouth. Literally. And they carving pieces out of her. Literally. Our babies is missing all over the planet. I didn't even talk about foster care. I'm going to go there. The last 20 minutes. I'm going to go there. Are we done with family court?
Yes.
Can they hold you to something that you did not create?
Nope.
Can they hold you to a contract you did not establish?
Nope.
So why they coming to your domicile talking about, I'm the sheriff? No, the hell you ain't. You an outlaw bandit and terrorist. You better get off my property.
Right.
And you might want to have, I ain't going to say it because y'all going to take it to, no, I ain't saying it. I'm not going to say it. All right, what is the number one way they make finance in that corrupt system? Do you know? Ooh. They actually admitted this too. And I'm going to show you your sin in this as well. You're a part of this as well. Human trafficking is the number one enterprise in the world. It's second to nothing. Nothing is it second to. None of those corporate fraudulent activities, and not second to cocaine. Even though down at the pier a couple of days ago they tried to say, oh, we just unearthed all this cocaine.
Yeah.
It's probably code word for human trafficking. Probably found some people on those ships. I guarantee you that's what they found.
That's just what it is.
I guarantee you cocaine is code word for people.
Yes.
Coke, coca, coke, colored.
Colors.
I'm just saying. My brain, the ancestors told me this yesterday, so I was like, yeah, cocaine means people.
Yep.
They found a bunch of people coming in on the docks.
Yep.
And they've been historically coming in on those docks. People. People are the number one human trafficking enterprise at Morocco by all those gang members. Right?
Yep.
They created a classification of people to help them be comfortable with what they've done. And that classification was called, huh?
Negro black truck.
Ooh. There's a particular reason why that classification came. They had to give them a benefit for all the crap that they did. They had to give them a privilege for all that they were responsible to manage under subjugation in that so-called fake 14th Amendment contract. Unlawful, they ain't even a contract, so I'll never even try to say that. So white persons was the so-called middle classification for the privilege to do all the human trafficking that they were doing under disguise of JOBs. Somebody say something? What?
What is it?
Oh, this is a little consort thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The government, your government actually had people set out to do human trafficking to my knowledge.
What government?
Well, not your government.
Say it.
The
Qualify
United
what you
States-
just said.
I'm sorry, the United States government.
The United States.
Corporation, I'm
That's the
sorry.
United States Service Corporation.
Alright. They actually
That's why they came here. That's why they even created that platform to continue human trafficking. Because that's the most lucrative thing. They ain't got to do nothing. It's all about them not doing nothing, but benefiting off of everything being done with human trafficking.
Yeah,
right?
they struck a chord
So
because
white
I
persons.
recall someone in
So what's the number one system used for human trafficking?
ISIS.
Birth
ISIS.
Huh?
ISIS.
What'd you just say?
ISIS.
Who knows?
Birth certificate.
Social Security number.
Fosters.
Yes. So where's the tree? Yes.
They getting they getting their butts kicked right now on social media.
Yes.
Just so you know. And I post these and share these so you can stop acting being a part of RICO. Please stop acting being a part of RICO. And y'all, Moors, declared or undeclared, know who I'm talking about. So maybe, okay, wait a minute, let me tell you this. One more called me and said, can there be a such thing of an anonymous tip?
No.
What does anonymous mean? Can somebody look up anonymous? So I got an anonymous tip that you were being bad to your child.
Give the name.
Does that mess with your psyche, your mental, your spirits when somebody says, I got an anonymous, like somebody come knocking on your door. It'd be an Asiatic. Sometimes I have to curtail my language because I get mad because we're utilizing each other and we're victimizing each other every day and we want to sit here and be like, it's my job. Well, you're going to get, okay, I'm not going to say it. So you'll have one of your own little Asiatic, Moabite, unconscious Moorish sister or brother come knocking on your door. Or one of your cousins from one of those African corporate states over there. They'll come over here knocking on your door. They getting deported right now, all the Africans that's over here. They was talking about that the other day. Just like how they was talking about all of these immigrants getting deported by ICE. Woo-hoo. I'll be honest, you forgot that you was immigrants too. Did you really forget?
Yes, they did.
Really? Oh my God. You can't forget. Because you read all the time. You ain't been tricked, but yeah, there's a classification of Albions. The low class, the Irish, they the low class, they at the bottom. They probably tricked all of y'all. They didn't tell y'all nothing. You just drink too much. That's all I can say. I mean, they're useless. They said this back in the college. They're just so useless. All they do is drink. They said that, literally. I've read a lot of books. But the foster care system, because most children are there, how do they get in the system? By somebody making an anonymous tip. And it's not even anybody making an anonymous tip. They want somebody's child and they go get it.
Yep.
Why do they want them? Rituals, food,
Body parts.
sex, body parts, organs, research. There was a show that told you everything. It was called The Passage. Was it called The Passage?
Yep.
Did it? I watched that show. Did anybody watch The Passage? Had one season, okay? I'm just gonna say it. It was a season where they go to the foster care system, where where our children are, because we think that we can sit here and push stars through the gate and then abandon them, mothers, because you think that they belong to someone else when you birthed them, and you don't want to take care of them. You don't want to take the responsibility to care for them when you birthed them, and nobody helped you in that process. Contrary to popular belief. So your children end up in foster care. As well as a whole bunch of Albion children. But it ain't that many because they don't have them like that. Can't afford it. They can't afford to go get in vitro fertilization, and that is the number one way they have children or kids. So, in this movie, I can't remember her name. She was an Asiatic daughter. Her mother passed away from, she was a druggie. She was a crackhead. Her mother was a crackhead, died of an overdose, could have been intentional because like I said, when they want stuff, y'all make it so easy because y'all be so conjoined in these relationships and in these organizations with these foreigners, aliens who are parasitic and want to infect you, right? So her mother passed away. She went into the foster care system. It was kind of an Annie effect. You remember Annie?
Yeah.
Where all these girls go into these houses with these foster care parents, and a lot of these articles that came up talk about on the weekends they taking these little babies to these little places to have sex with grown men. Foster care, Asiatic as well as Albion. So don't think you Asiatics be sitting there taking care of people's children and you do the best, because I personally know of an Asiatic sister, Malbitis, that was played with, sexually manipulated in foster care, because many people only do it for the fiat. They don't care. Rico. So in this movie, foster care, they needed a body because they got all your DNA because you in the system in the hospital. They got all your stuff from the hospital. So they needed some bodies. They go look certain stuff up. Oh, we got like 12 people in foster care over here. So she specifically was sold by the foster care industry, which is why everybody should be leading them everywhere, all over. They're telling us in these articles to lean them. I've leaned 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't keep count. Child Youth Services in County of Delaware Corporation Company, Department of Health Services, Second Chance, all leaned. Everybody leans. You're going to stop doing what you're doing, or you're going to cease to exist on this manifested state. And I'm just going to let you wonder how they're going to get rid of you. They'll find a way. Whereas though nobody's going to know how that happened. Because nobody's just people are just not committing suicide. That's just the cover story. It's a lot of cover stories. Read between the lines, because the media is never going to tell you we doing what. There we go. We banging it. And I'm going to stop saying even though I don't want to say it. It's we're going to bang it till it bleeds. We're going to bang it, them bones, till they bleed. Or you tell us to stop. One or the other. And the only way you're going to tell us to stop is by doing what? Repatriating. We ain't trying to listen to nothing else you got to say. You got to do it on social media. Don't do it in a document. We want to hear the pledge on social media. I pledge allegiance to the supreme laws of the land. I am a subject at Morocco, and I pledge to the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the Constitution for the United States of America. I am not an American. I am a citizen subject of the Americas, the true Moorish American nationals, which is us. And I ain't standing for nothing less than that. Okay? Nothing less. Okay? Anyway. So anyway, she was sold to a research facility. She was sold to a research facility, and I can guarantee 100% our babies, our daughters, our sons are in those research facilities being held, the ones that you can't find because you were not watching and looking and paying attention and caring for your heirs. They are in these foster care systems being pimped out to any stinky little man or woman. They are being fed to them in their rituals. They are being utilized for organs, harvesting, and eggs. Which is why you have some Asiatics that ain't Asiatic coming through these stargates that are not stargates. Albions, where you think they coming from, y'all? They ain't coming from you. When y'all having intercourse, they putting those Asiatic eggs in those Albion women. That's why they look that way. Ancestors just told me that, just so you know. But they got you to believe you made that, sons. So the foster care system is the human trafficking system. And every Asiatic that calls DHS or the policy enforcers on their tribe, you are committing RICO. And you will be dealt with. With a lien.
Yep.
And then once that lien starts, all your problems start. And there's only one way to get out of it. What is that way, Morris? How do you get out of liens when you have sovereignty and you're not utilizing it?
Nationalize.
Nationalize. We're going to force you over here, whether you come kicking or screaming. But you're going to come over here. Islam? So never call the policy enforcers on your people. That's a violation of Chapter 25, a violation of the Zodiac Constitution, a violation of the Holy Quran. They are bandits, outlaws, and terrorists.
And Act 3 of the Moorish Divine Constitution, because you're putting another Moor in danger.
Say that. Give it to me. Give me the quote. Which one is that? The bylaws, constitutional bylaws?
It's the Moorish Divine Constitution, Act 3.
Is it Act 3? Look it up. You got the
Constitutional bylaw.
I want that.
Divine Constitution.
Divine Constitution bylaws, Article 3.
Act 3.
Act 3 says what specifically? Tell me what it said. I'm gonna write it down. I don't want to erase that because y'all need to know it down.
All right, hold on. I just been doing a lot of studying because I'm Okay, Act 3 is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger, so this is clause 2, put in danger or accuse, Act 3 clause 2, or accuse falsely his brother or sister on an occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love.
There you go. I like that.
That's clause 2, Act 3.
Thank you. I like it's reference points. It's reference points because the Moors need to realize they got to stop acting crazy. Look, that's so crazy.
Clause 1 is membership, clause 2.
Act 2? You said it was Act 2?
Act 3.
Act 3?
Second sentence, clause 2.
Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America and all Moorish American nationals. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Allah is love. Right? So you shouldn't be partaking in any of this. You shouldn't be calling a policy enforcers or a police department, which is a gang, an organized gang that can't intercede unless you give permission.
Yeah.
They can't even be bothered. They can't even come unless you give permission. And you cannot testify falsely against your brothers and sisters. And you can't hold your codes, constitutions, and bylaws, and because you yourself, to get into this country, I'm talking all you foreigners, all our African brothers and sisters and cousins that don't belong here, but that are here nonetheless. You're held to those laws, regardless of what commercial agreement you got, entered into to get here. Because U.S. citizens is a fraud, and you're part of RICO just to even claim to be that. And I'm done. Anybody have any questions? Where did this book? Oh, where did that book? The temple? Oh, Amazon? Oh, how much they charge that for that book? I wonder what else is in there. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Act 3.
Oh, the video keep freezing, y'all? I didn't know the video keep freezing. You know, they be messing with me. Islam. So there are no questions. I am going to end the telecommunications part of this broadcast and go to just chilling with the Moors that came. And David, where you at? You were supposed to be here. So was you, Robin. Pass it to more. Peace and love. So stop trafficking your people. Stop entering into bandit terroristic activities under the RICO, because you're involved, you're complicit. Because you called, you made the call. And there can be no anonymous complaint. For anybody to come to lawfully try to say you injured them or any other person, they have to submit an affidavit of fact, signed and sealed under perjury. So there can't be any anonymous tips. If somebody's accusing me of something, as a natural being, I have the lawful responsibility and the lawful right to face my accuser. And it has to be under indictment. So foster care is playing the heck out of y'all, that's all I'm saying. And that's why right now, all of their employees, or all of these so-called social platforms are always Asian addicts. Because y'all the most
gullible people in the world.
Y'all be done call somebody because your boyfriend, because the man you cheating on didn't come back to you. Or because you sat there, look, I ain't even gonna go there. Look. I'm not going there. Just because you gotta stop trying to make contracts that don't exist. If the only contract you can have with a man or a woman is the one that y'all both consented to. And if you sat there and just had sex and that was all that was supposed to be, that's all it was supposed to be. Wow. You can't create contracts by just, one person actually said this to me. I'm being real, these young Asian women be tripping. Sex is, what did she say? Just, if you have sex with me, you're entering into a contract to be with me.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Women, y'all be trying to snare some people. And then how women be sitting there, man, sons, okay, even if you take your condoms or if you leave it, don't matter.
Take the
But I would take it with me if I was you. Wrap that joint up, put it in the pocket. I'm just saying. And DNA tests do not do anything. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They be playing the heck out of y'all. Paying y'all. I know I have a personal situation where somebody I know got played. But I was there to make sure that individual didn't get continued to played.
Okay.
So stop gang war with your Moabite. She is the freedom. She is the God. She is the sovereign. And if she's protected by pure association, so too are you. By her sons. We love our sons so much it don't make no sense. Makes none. It makes none. We don't hold you accountable for the things you need to be held accountable because we know you are our son and we are your mother. And at the end of the day, it is our responsibility to give you what you need to be productive members of society. And if you're working at a deficit, you're going to be dependent on any woman that allows herself to be. She's going to do that. But we create men. And we need to start making sure we follow up that creation with the laws, the culture, and everything else. And they will do everything that they're supposed to do. As long as we bring them in here right. Islam? Pass that to more. Does anybody know the mantra? You know it?
Yeah,
Come on up here and say it. 3 and then we out. Why is the video, I'm so shy. Telling me I'm shining like this?
Alright. I am Darian Bay, in proprio personas, sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredis, at all times and at all points in time. I am the descendant of the great pharaohs of Kemet, the Moabites, and the Canaanites. I am the law, I am the government, and I command you to state your name and nationality, for the record and on the record, and without further comment. You do not have jurisdiction over me, and I command you to set me free, return my property, cease and desist all actions against me.
As this is my notice of intent to lien you.
And as this is my notice of intent to lien you.
If you do not do as commanded,
and
set me free.
Set me free.
Pax it to more. Notice the agent is notice the principal. And notice the principal is notice the agent.
And I command a certified copy of your foreign agent registration act statement, as well as your anti-bribery statement, and a wedding signature of the bond.
Tantum est unum exitum.
Yes, no.
This line. Anybody else? Tiger? Tiger be so busy, he be forgetting to learn the mantra. Ain't it crazy? He be so busy. Huh? You good?
Who else?
Who else? We gotta have 3.
Tetsu.
Tap 2. Where's Tap 2? He always trying to front. He been here. Wait. You're not gonna say Tap 2? While you brush your beard? Nobody else? I'm going to take it home. As usual, y'all just make me do so much. That's why during the week I ain't answering the phone. Like, I am Sharon Tracey Gale Bay, Moorish American National, in proprio persona, sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredis, at all times and at all points in time. I am a descendant of the great pharaohs of Kemet and the Moabites and the Canaanites. I am the law, I am the government, and I command you to state your name, nationality for the record on the record without further comment. You do not have jurisdiction over me, and I command you set me free, return my property, and cease and desist all actions against me. This is my notice of intent to lien you if you do not do as commanded and set me free. Notice the agents, notice the principal, notice the principals, notice the agent. No U.S. corporate citizen has jurisdiction over a Moorish American national. Tantum est unum exitum, which means
The only way out is together.
the only way out is together. Facts up to Amor Moors. Damn, did it stop already?
Nope, you didn't stop. Finish.
Oh, look at him. Oh, I should say, oh no, I'm going to say this PO announcement. Public announcement, which is published. I can't say it in Latin yet because I just learned it. But I have the Latin phraseology for public notification. This is a public notification. Who is Amor?
Who is it more sovereign
Yes.
of the land?
Who can declare or proclaim Moorish nationality?
Moors.
Moors.
Who cannot proclaim and declare Moorish nationality with an El Bay, Ali, who? Albion.
Albions and Moors.
What determines nationality? Stargate. So if you came from an Albion Stargate, can you declare and proclaim your nationality, and can we seal and witness your documents?
No.
Stop doing it. We do not seal, we do not stamp, we do not witness Moorish nationality documentation for aliens. I'm not going to say it again. Pax it tomorrow.
Thank you. Woo. Thank you.